Hello, good evening. Professor McCoy, welcome back to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords. If you notice, my voice is a little bit quieter than usual. I've turned the gain up on my microphone a little bit to compensate, so if anything is too loud or too quiet, anyone feel free to let me know in the chat. I'm recovering gradually from a sore throat I got over the weekend. There we go. In fact, I got all manner of odd unpleasantnesses, health-type unpleasantnesses over this weekend, unfortunately.
I'm good to go.
Between the aforementioned sore throat that I caught from the kids, they picked something up and gave it to the whole house, so that happens sometimes. And then also, what was it? Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. Friday night into Saturday, I got something into my eye. It was irritated, and Saturday, I just... Emergency. Saturday, I just could not open or close my eye with that excruciating pain. So felt like I basically had like some kind of capsaicin on the inside of my eyelid. Not pleasant. It was kind of awful. Oh, there's no one here. Honestly, I'm surprised. Alright, let's see.
Something you need of me?
Mira, you keep taking care of this stuff. Access menu. Active. Secondary active. Right, anyway. So so that was this weekend had a lot of unpleasantness to it in that respect, in terms of health type stuff. Excuse me.
Stand back.
Hopefully that's gonna stop soon.
Harder than I thought.
What?
A little harder than I thought.
Are you serious? Who has better security? 20. Oh, that's why.
I'm good to go.
Jesus, what was in here? Access code, droid controller. Okay, computer spike, Kvass, scoundrel gloves. What do those do? This code will allow unrestricted access to the droid controller through Goto command console. Oh. Interesting. Alright, let's go try that. Wait, where's the Goto command console? Is that here? No. Is it here in the core? Yeah, here we go. Unlock. Minefield, droid control. Main menu. Systems control. Droid control. Wait. Not turret. Droid controller. Basic diagnostic. Shut down. Okay. Easy enough. Alright, anyway. So enough whining about my eye, my throat. We're back, and we're about to finish up this whole business with Goto and the exchange. Oh. Unlock restricted system. All programs can be run on the system after it's unlocked. No. Systems control. Power distribution. Diagnostic. Shutdown. Secondary power offline. Attached systems disabled.
More visitors. I don't know how many more of these pests I can disintegrate. Ah, what remains of the bounty hunters have found me. Now it is time to cue the detonation sequence.
Oh, I don't like that. The Zoom family will scour the galaxy for this Jedi, and then we'll bring her here to Goto. You're welcome to try, Big Eyes. If you were not here before Goto, I would drill holes through your body with a nest of hungry spheral worms. No. Y'all stop.
Let's take care of this.
Wow, that was easy. That was, like, basically nothing. Alright, moving on. Alright. Wait, what? There's more Zoogs?
Let's take care of this fast. That's another one for me. Let's take care of this fast. That's another one for me. Ready? Like that?
Pick up the rest of these Zoog brother stuff. I have a good deal of things left over. Alright, now we have to get off this ship before I'm assuming it's going to explode, but I'm not actually sure of that, so let's get going either way. The Zoog brother. Hey, you saved. You're supposed to save.
That's another one for me.
an opening!
That's
You
another
have
one
left
for
me
me.
an opening!
How are they still alive?
Finally,
we meet the exile. You should tell your companion that she should strike to kill, not wound. He. You fought Adam. I thought he killed them. Anyway, things to drink tonight. I have another Elysian pumpkin ale. This one's the Great Pumpkin. By the way, if you have not seen yet, my commentary on the Great Pumpkin, and you're still in the mood for that seasonal kind of thing, you should. I think you'll enjoy it. Wow. It's kind of pathetic. Spinning blade. Another spinning blade. Where are we going? Get to Yevon Hawk. It's that way.
You have left me an opening!
Gans 2 in here, huh? More of them.
Everyone, on their guard!
Alright, everyone's ready to level. Fantastic. Yeah, so, like I said, I think I've said this before, that, no, I want to use... more force points. Okay. Oops. Hit the wrong button. Okay. Beats. Critical, maybe. Lightsaber specialization. Might be better. I haven't decided officially whether I'm going to stick with single saber, or I might actually go to double. I don't know. I would need to sink 3 feats into it to make it the least bit useful. And I need more lightsabers. I'm leaning towards not. Yeah. Yeah. Powers. What do I got here? Increase Revitalize. That might be really good. Force Wave's kind of awful. Mind Trick? No. Yeah, better Revitalize. Let's go with that. Okay. Increase his Wisdom. He's gonna need it. Okay, Powers. Destroy Droid. Sight Shot, good. Dex, yeah. Let's just go all Dex. Okay. Oops. Wrong force power. It's fine.
You have left me an opening!
God. This is ridiculous. As I was saying before I started leveling up, the last time I ran through this mission, I was way lower level because I had only done Nar Shaddaa. I didn't have a lightsaber yet. I didn't have Disciple yet. I was like 2 or 3 levels lower at the start, probably more, because I hadn't gone to Dantooine at all. So it was way, way harder. This was... Oh, hello. Uh-oh.
I can't believe we just blew up Goto's yacht. That's going to destabilize crime throughout this whole sector.
Yeah,
Oh, it didn't
well,
show me the
you'll
explosion.
understand
That's
if I
fine.
hold back the tears.
You don't understand. Crime in the YouTube system, it's like the economy. Plus the power vacuum. Even if Voga gets up and running again, the system is going to be feeling the effects for years to come.
Yeah, well, at least we didn't find that Jedi
Also get
Master with
eggnog
the weird name. Zez, Kai, whatever it is.
Zez Kyle? Well, that's not true. I already found him. Actually, he found me first. He hired me to watch out for you, keep Goto off your back until he could meet with you. We'll need to head back to Nar Shaddaa, to that safe house off the docks.
What are you doing here?
I said I'd meet up with him there if we ran into any trouble. What do you want now?
If you thought to escape my notice so easily, you would be wrong. As a token of my goodwill, I present to you a gift. This droid. It will serve you well on your journey.
So he's not dead. That's good. Goto here seems to be a bandit the size of a tangerine. I mean, I also have tangerines. We went, well, I didn't go because I couldn't be out in the sunlight. It hurt so bad in my eyeball. But the rest of the family went picking tangerines on Saturday. That's what I missed out on, unfortunately. It was a good time though, and they brought home tangerines for Dad. So anyway, How'd you get on my ship?
I'm afraid I do not understand what you mean.
Tell me more about the droid.
As I indicated, this unit will remain with you and guard you. It will also serve as an effective voice for my orders during your journey.
How do I know it won't try and kill me?
I cannot harm you. You are the key to saving the Republic. Pray that you do not prove yourself otherwise.
You kind of tried to kill me for quite some time. Can't set off mines because he's floating. That makes sense. Thanks for the droid, Goto. Let's get to Nar Shaddaa. Back to Nar Shaddaa.
So, you're
welcome for blowing up your ship.
Kavar thought you might, if only to wander your old battlegrounds. But I did not think you would come to Nar Shaddaa. Still, you were always a difficult one to read, both when you were tied to the Force, and even more when it was lost to you.
Why did Kavar think I would return from this exile?
I do not know. It was a sense he had, and he had served in war as you had. Perhaps he thought he understood you, or maybe he simply hoped he did. He felt you were the key to understanding the threat we face. The others were not so certain, but so many of them are gone now, as you no doubt know.
Yeah, I do. Why me?
He sensed some connection between you and many of the worlds touched by war. He thought by traveling to such places, he could achieve understanding.
I have questions I want answered.
No doubt. I think the answers will provide us both with some measure of peace. I have kept secrets for far too long.
Really? Where are all the Jedi?
They have scattered, but there is purpose in their movements. It is both to hunt and draw out our enemies. Somehow, we, are being targeted through the Force, and when Jedi gather, we are vulnerable. So we have chosen places where it is difficult to sense others through the Force, whether on planets dense with life, or touched by war. In such places, we may conceal ourselves, gather information, without presenting ourselves as targets. It was part of Kavar's plan.
Plan?
Yes, he felt if our enemy cannot detect us, then perhaps they would believe themselves victorious and show themselves. And we knew that the war would be lost if we continued to act as we had. I do not know where they wander now. There are few of us, though. Too few, and I have not heard from them in some time.
I encountered Vrook upon Dantooine.
Vrook still lives? I had not felt his presence for some time.
Atris is on Telos.
Atris, but I had thought she had gone to Qatar with the others.
No, you sound surprised.
Yes,
yeah,
she
obviously
holds the last of the Jedi teachings. It is good she survived.
I had other questions.
What I can tell you, I will.
Why are you on Nar Shaddaa?
I had thought perhaps that here upon the Smuggler's Moon, I might find some evidence of the threat we faced. The bounties on Jedi and their disappearance. I did not believe the two were connected, but there was a chance. And the strong currents of life here on Nar Shaddaa make perceiving a Force user difficult. I could use it to cloak my movements and watch without being discovered.
All right, I had other questions.
Very well.
I need to know why you cast me out of the Order.
We told you it was because you followed Revan to war, but you ask because you are not certain of that answer, nor were we. The day we cast you out, that is the moment I decided to leave the Order, because I do not believe we truly faced the reasons you were exiled, and if we do not examine such truths, then we are already lost. I think it was because we were afraid. It is a difficult thing to live one's life with the Force. To see a vision of what it would be like to be severed from it, it is more frightening than you know.
I think I know. I think being separated from the Force gives me a more intimate knowledge of that than you think. Come on now. Really? That was horrifically disingenuous. All right. Also, I will say his look, the whole mustache plus male pattern baldness, almost like mullet-esque male pattern baldness. I really like that they steered into the Star Wars visual aesthetic, that very 70s and 80s visual aesthetic that the original trilogy set up. That would have been really easy to steer away from, like quite frankly, like the sequels did. But like if you look at like Rogue One and Andor, and even to a degree, Rebels, but maybe less so. But especially Rogue One and Andor, from what I've seen, I haven't actually watched the series so far, but from promotional stuff and from what I have seen so far, Andor seems to be doing a very good job of keeping that that 70s-ish aesthetic from the lead up to the original trilogy, which I really like that. A really good thing. I think that's really good for sort of visual continuity with existing canon, which isn't absolutely essential, but it helps. It really helps. Why did you cut me off from the Force?
Is that what you think? We did no such thing, but it is a technique that has been used as punishment in the past, yes. It is a rare sentence, and to my knowledge it has only been done once, at a moment where a Jedi discipline has failed. What caused your loss, I fear, was different. I am not certain I understand it. We did not understand it fully then, and only recently do I feel we may have become enlightened. The other masters may have more knowledge of this, but I do not, and I do not know if they even live. Does it matter? It seems your power has returned. Perhaps the loss was not a loss at all. Very well.
At the end of my trial, you and the other masters said something had happened to me. What was it?
Ah, so the records of your trial were found. Good. Sometimes I think this galaxy would be a better place if there were less Jedi secrets. But I have no answer for you, as much as I would like to give one. We vowed never to speak of it.
I mostly like
him. Although I would not keep promises to Jedi, I keep promises I make to others. And Kavar was a friend. If we were gathered as one, then the promise might be revoked. Until then, I can say nothing.
Out of all the Jedi we've met, in this game so far at least, I like him the most. He's remorseful, but still forward-looking. Do you know anything of force bonds? How to end them?
Yes, such bonds are a connection that can be formed at moments of crisis, or in the slow understanding that grows between master and apprentice. It is most common between two beings who are sensitive to the Force. It allows the transmission of feelings, of influence. It was something you were gifted with, as I recall, before your fall. You formed such attachments easier than most, even to those who could feel the Force only faintly. Even Vrook could not ignore it, which is saying something.
I've developed a bond with another, one that's lethal to us both.
That is most unusual and unnatural. I have never heard of a bond of such strength.
How would I end it?
There were a few within the Order who knew more than I did of such bonds, but their students were few, lost in the Mandalorian Wars. It was rumored that Revan studied such bonding deeply, both through the Jedi histories and with certain teachers, before he left the Order and went to war.
That's all I wish to know. What happens now?
Now I must take up the role I was ready to cast aside. This threat has finally revealed itself, and we Jedi will need to stand together. I did not speak fully of what I have felt. Staying on Nar Shaddaa, it is an exile of sorts, one that I have chosen. I, too, lost a Padawan on Malachor, not to the battle, but to the alternative, to the teachings that Revan brought from the unknown regions. And I was not the only Jedi Master to watch a student turn on them.
So you blamed them?
No, they were not to blame, but many of the Order did so. It was a difficult time, a time of strong emotion. Perhaps the Council, perhaps the Order itself, had grown arrogant in their teachings. It is easy to cast blame, but it is perhaps time the Order accepted responsibility for their teachings and their arrogance, and come to recognize that perhaps we are flawed. Not once did I hear one of the Council claim responsibility for Revan, for Exar Kun, for Ulik, for Malak, or for you. Yet, you were the only one who came back from the wars to face our judgment. And rather than attempting to understand why you did what you did, we punished you instead. Our one chance to see where we had gone wrong, and we cast it aside. And now, that decision has come back to us and may carry with it our destruction. Perhaps there is something wrong in us, in our teachings, and though I tried, I could not cause that thought to leave me, so I left the Council. And I was not the only one. That is why many scattered, and why many in the Republic do not trust us, and why we do not trust ourselves. Make no mistake,
Hey, Bubble.
I
Evening.
am no Jedi. This is the end, you see. After this, there will be nothing, and I think it will be for the best. Do you wish to do battle now? I have nothing more to say.
No, I don't want to kill you. So interesting thing about this. This exchange is really good because what I love most about this whole exchange, about him, Bublin has to try God of War Ragnarok like every other streamer. Okay, a couple things. One, I've never played any of the God of War games. As much as I like Christopher Judge as an actor and as a voice actor, I don't know. It's never been. I've never been super interested in it. And when it first came out, it was PlayStation exclusive, and I was an everything but PlayStation exclusive gamer. So, yeah. And then also, I don't tend to get new games. I tend to wait until I know that one, I know they're good. Two, once they're on sale. So it's not really my thing, really. But now I'm sticking with my tried and true 20-year-old games. In this case, in my 4-year-old game in Kingdom Come Deliverance on Thursdays, but no, I'm not gonna kill him. This is first of all my favorite of the Jedi we've encountered so far, mostly because we've only encountered Master Vrook on Dantooine and Atris on Telos, who are both awful. But no, what is this? Kyle, I think his name is. Bubbling says, I was into the 2018 game. Years later, the gameplay seemed pretty one note. Oh, you mean Kingdom Come? It doesn't. I am starting to notice that it doesn't quite have the same polish as a lot of AAA titles do nowadays. Gameplay variants and that sort of thing. But I'm still really loving it, especially just for the environment and stuff. But that's more to talk about Thursday. About this guy. God of War 2018. Okay. Yeah. I'll talk Thursday, I think. I'll bring up some of the things I've noticed that are a little bit unpolished about Kingdom Come. Because there's things here and there that I've noticed. Some of them are control things, and maybe that's my fault. But yeah, I'll talk about that Thursday. Anyway, this little exchange here. This is precisely the kind of deconstruction that they were trying to do in the sequel trilogy, and especially that Rian Johnson was trying to do in The Last Jedi. Because who we're facing here is an old Jedi who left the Order, who stepped away after seeing that the Order had lost its way. That's very similar, in a sense, and it's even a conversation about cutting oneself off from the Force, or being cut off from the Force, which again should strike any viewer as similar to what they tried to do in The Last Jedi. The difference is that this was done well, and The Last Jedi was done poorly, and also especially who it was done with. Master, I think it's Zizkael. Zizkael here. I'm going to call him that, and if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. Master Zizkael here is not Luke Skywalker. We don't know him as the triumphant conquering hero, the paragon of hope that was Luke Skywalker, because Luke Skywalker, his prototypical virtue is hope. He is an absolute paragon, an absolute standard of hope. And for him to give up is a gut punch to anyone who grew up loving Luke Skywalker like I did. This is not so much. This is a man who is reflecting upon his own sins and the sins of his organization, so to speak. I don't think he's subverting the Force. I think that he is taking a step back to examine the institutional flaws and the educational flaws of the Jedi Order. And this is something that we actually see in the old Legends continuity, the old EU. It only really develops late. Luke becomes really self-reflective because it was after the prequels came out. Once Luke knew what the old Jedi Order was like in the Republic, did he start reflecting upon it and start thinking about what he's been doing differently and what he wants to do differently in the future. We see a lot of that in, Fate of the Jedi, and then Legacy of the Force, and then Fate of the Jedi, I think was the order of them. The one where Jason Solo falls to the dark side, and then the one where Luke does his walkabout. Luke and Ben do their walkabout and learn about different traditions in the Force, where and then Abeloth shows up and the tribe of the Sith and all that. They get challenged. Basically, they get challenged on it. But that part, I really liked those book series because they're so introspective, and they're introspective from the perspective of somebody like Luke, who is perfectly hopeful, even in stepping away from the Jedi Order. He stepped away from the Jedi Order in a sort of political gambit to unite the Jedi by him stepping aside, by giving everyone a single common adversary or opponent, ideological opponent in himself. He sought to organize the Jedi into a cohesive unit, and it kind of worked, kind of didn't. It's complicated. It's a good book series. Anyway, what we have here is somewhat similar to that, but also, again, from a different perspective. Because what we have is a man who, I think first of all, I think he's absolutely right about the exile being the only one to come back. And then, rather than taking this as an opportunity for self-examination, they simply punished her for what was done. Which, fair, I suppose. Fair enough. Punishing her was, certainly wasn't unfair. Wasn't unfair to do. She did defy the orders of the Council directly. And, and led in large part to the rise of Revan and Malak. However, they didn't take this opportunity to reflect on any flaws about the Jedi, things about teachings about attachments, teachings about separation from what one ought to, separation from the workings of the galaxy, let's say. A sort of institutional aseity, a fear of getting involved, let's say, something like that, which comes and goes in the Jedi. There are other times when the Jedi have been far too involved with the Republic, like in the Clone Wars. And the Clone Wars is a great example of when the Jedi were far too involved with the Republic. When that was a deep flaw that the Sith exploited through Palpatine, Order 66, and all that stuff. But here we see a sort of critical examination of the Jedi done from within, without throwing away what is worthwhile. Where Luke, where Master Zizkael, or whatever his name is here, is saying that this is the end of the Jedi for him. He's not saying it should be or is the end of the Jedi. Luke is making the sole authoritative judgment that that the Jedi need to end in The Last Jedi. Which, talk about arrogance. That's unbelievably arrogant. That's even more arrogant than any arrogance that you can criticize the Jedi of holding. because he's doing just the same thing in the opposite. He's saying that because of these flaws, I personally decree that this is the way forward. Rather than relying on age-old tradition, rather than relying on the ways of the Jedi in the past, and trying to be contiguous with it, but develop as it goes. And I've talked about this before as well, probably when I think way back to when I was playing Red Dead. Certainly when I've talked about this in class, in various classes, that tradition, the development of tradition, is analogized best to, or at least I think, analogized best to a tree. That a tree, an ancient tree, is different from, it is always changing, but it always is contiguous with its past. It grows from how it is, and all of the details throughout the tree, from the trunk up to the branches, even all the way down to the roots, are all evidence and all follow from the pattern of growth that it has always had. In other words, it's tied continuously and innately to the past. But at the same time, it's still growing. If you try to start a tree over, try and get a tree to grow contrary to the way that it has grown before, or if you try and change something about the way that a tree is, if you cut branches here and reshape them there, you'll kill it. So inorganic additions to a tradition, trying to shape the tradition from outside, is going to kill the thing. It's unnatural to it. But at the same time, trying to freeze a tradition or go back to a tradition of the past is like trying to drill down to its roots, or is like trying to stop a tree from growing. And if you stop a tree from growing, that's just killing it as well. So tradition has to be the kind of thing that is rooted deeply within the past, but is continuously growing in an organic way based on how it has been in the past. And that is so deeply alien to the modern mind. It's very easy to critique the past by uprooting it, which is what Rian Johnson wants to do. And quite oddly enough, it's what Kreia wants to do as well. And notice, she's the villain of this game. A lot of people don't get that she's the villain of this game. She's the villain of this game. Whereas this Kyle here, as well as Luke in the old extended universe, have criticisms of the way the Jedi have conducted themselves, but in the same way that a good gardener might prune a tree, might guide the way the tree grows. Rooted in how it's grown so far, and acknowledging that there are things that can't be changed or altered, but there are things that can go in a different direction. Like you see a lot of trees, especially around here, because we have big oak trees in Florida. But we also have above ground power lines, which is stupid, but we do. We have a lot of above ground power lines, and so a lot of times you'll see these big oak trees that are like formed into V's around power lines. Or they'll grow, and then they'll grow over the power line, like over the top, and then grow outwards. And that's from years and years and years of pruning exactly the branches that need to be pruned so that the tree goes up and out. It's not by just hacking away at the thing, keeping it down, or keeping it to the side, or whatever like that, because then you'll just kill the thing and the tree will just die. You can't just force the tree to be how you want it to be. That's just carving a piece of furniture from a dead piece of wood. And you also can't just stop a tree from growing. You have to allow it to grow, but to grow in the right direction so that it's constructive, it's conducive to its own well-being, and to conducive to the world that it's in. And so that's how we ought to always treat tradition, is with the kind of respect that we would give to a living thing. But a living organism, a living thing that is continuing to grow and continuing to change on its own terms. And that's I think what he's alluding to here, is that our criticisms of the Jedi, criticisms of the institutions of the Jedi, the traditions of the Jedi, and the teachings of the Jedi should be from within, not from without. We shouldn't take a step outside of the order and say, here is what the Jedi screwed up on. No. the Jedi should self-reflect, and should be willing to self-reflect, to change from within in a way that's contiguous with what has come before. And that's the kind of internal criticism that we, I think, as a society, have a lot of trouble doing, a lot of trouble accepting as well. That typically, when we want to criticize things, we take that externalist approach. We take the approach of somebody sort of outside of the tradition, hacking at it. In a lot of cases, just cutting it down, which is what we see with, what we see with Luke in The Last Jedi. He never even read, apparently, the ancient Jedi texts. He just had some weird reverence for them as dead objects. Which is, remember what Yoda told him. When Yoda was dying, he told him, pass on what you have learned, not pass on what has always been, or go seek out the ancient Jedi texts and pass that on. No. Pass on what you have learned. Carry on the living tradition. Yoda gave him a torch and told him to pass it on. That means to light others from the flame that you had, not use the torch to go and find somewhere else, some other source of fire. That's ridiculous. So again, I think there's a big difference there. And I think that this game, especially through the Jedi, not so much through Kreia. A lot of people give Kreia credit for deconstructing the Jedi, or deconstructing the Star Wars formula and all that. I don't think that's right, because I think hers is a kind of a destructive kind of deconstruction. It destroys rather than picks apart to refine and rebuild. It's the Jedi characters, most notably our bald guy here, who do the best job at carefully examining the flaws within the Jedi and correcting for them as best we can. Anyway, this game invites that comparison because it was 15 years, 15 years, something like that, before The Last Jedi. And it did everything The Last Jedi tried to do, but far, far better. Far better. Revan redeemed himself. Certainly that must give you some hope.
It provides no comfort at all, for reasons in which I still must keep secret. Suffice to say, redemption was not Revan's choice, and I have never believed those of the Council who attempt to console themselves otherwise for the crime they committed.
I see. Is there anything you can teach me?
But we have spoken enough, I think. In words I think dull us both. Let us speak through the Force, through sparring. This form you may have already seen much of during the Mandalorian Wars, but it is fitting to speak using elements of the past, I think. Ataru is the name given to the movements of this form. Though it is aggressive, it is focused, and its best use is in combat against a single opponent. This form is somewhat less useful in deflecting blaster shots. Use it when dealing with opponents in close combat, not against a battalion firing heavy blasters at you.
I love Ataru, by the way.
Perhaps exile has been good to you indeed.
It's Qui-Gon on Yoda's form.
Dulled your instincts, nor the speed at which you learn.
That looks absolutely nothing like Ataru, but okay.
To the ruins of the Enclave. If you gather the others, I will meet you there. And thank you, exile. You're returning. It is good that you are back among us.
All right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that looks nothing like Ataru, but I really like Ataru as a lightsaber form. The fundamentals of it are really cool, really clever, well thought out. All of the 6 primary and then the special 7th lightsaber forms are well thought out. There's a lot. Oh, come on now, really?
Acquired. Annoying recitation.
What do you want of me here?
Let us proceed to facilitate communications.
Fine.
Recitation. And bring about the termination of hostilities.
I'll terminate your hostilities.
Optimal Failing, Master. Systems failing, Master.
Jesus. That uses basically no force points at this point. Most of my light side powers do, like, require no force points. None. Alright, I've talked to Fasa.
You interrupting me for a reason? I have a lot of work to do, to manage here, right? So, what is it?
Can you help transport a family to Telos?
What? Do I look like a passenger ship to you? Ah, all right. You help me, I help you.
Alright, the mother's name is Kirana. She's in the refugee squad.
Fine,
Quad,
I'll
not
do
squad.
for you. But don't ask of Fasa again. What else?
You have any need for pilots?
Now that freighters can depart safely, I can use a good pilot.
Now, the refugee Otis will work for your sponsorship.
Fasa can do this. Good. I'll send someone for him.
Alright, sweet. Okay, I can't change out my party until I get back to the ship. So let's go do that. It's weird that there are still HKs chasing me after... Oh my god, more of them.
Unnecessary observation. Targets acquired. Annoying recitation.
Got it. Okay, anyway. Anyway, so yeah, it's a little bit weird that there are HKs still after me,
Systems failing, Master.
despite having just taken down the exchange. I mean, fine, I guess. Whatever, but still. Alright. Wait, what? Where did my dock? This way, right? This way. My bad. Entertainment problem. Really? Ah, man. I've got this all turned around. Anyway. Okay. Let's see what's going on here.
Ah, HK-47. I did not realize that you still existed, especially now that the other generations are activated.
Query. What is it you wish, Fat One?
I see that your recent reassembly has not affected your behavior core, nor your attitude.
Statement. If I require a similar diagnostic in the future, I shall seek out the Iridonian.
Oh, I do not think so. There is much work that needs to be done first.
Query. Have we had the misfortune to meet before? I believe I would have remembered one as large as you.
Oh, yes, we have met. And I have not finished with you yet.
Sketchy. Real sketchy. It's basically an interrogation droid.
Of course. It would be my pleasure.
Meditation envy?
Why don't you go sit on a rocket?
Calm down. What is your problem?
I don't want to talk about it.
Bonk?
Alright, you know, Atten, sometimes it's no wonder you can't figure yourself out the way you lie to yourself all the time. I've hunted a lot of people in my line of work, but I never met someone who wants to get lost more than you do. I've got a pretty good idea why, but not the whole picture. I will, though. My advice? Come clean before I find out.
That guy, I don't trust him.
I do. I mean, he's alright, I guess. He's like someone who watches too many holovids. Or teaches them.
Yeah, you're right. He's boring.
Yeah, and that puts him a few ranks up the ladder from you.
What's that supposed to mean?
God.
I'm not boring.
No, you're more like a shifty, lying idiot with a tendency to complain about every little thing and offer only small bits of helpful advice if pressured. He'd get beaten to death on Nar Shaddaa almost as soon as he landed, though.
Oh, that's good to hear. Thought I had some competition there.
Oh, well, it's not really a competition. I mean, you're kind of an idiot, Atten, and you don't shower enough, and you scratch your equipment when you think no one's looking. Don't take it too hard, though. That still makes you better than most people I've met on Nar Shaddaa.
Thanks.
Oh my God.
And stop watching her. She's got enough problems.
Oh my God.
You know, I think it's time I gave your cutting laser a little boost. It works fine for repairs, but we could use your help in a firefight.
Yeah, big
Worried
oofs.
about it? We'll make sure they keep you out of their
I
scope.
think I just realized why I like Disciple. Because he's
Hey, it's
kind of
something
me.
for Goto to be jealous of, right? Think
He's
of
a
it this
blonde
way.
academic.
You can keep Goto
The
in
blonde,
line with me.
boring academic. Oh, improved laser. Nice.
Finally decided to let me take a look at your circuitry.
Answer: indeed I did. I hope you understand how difficult it is for me to trust a meat bag with something as delicate as my inner mechanics. Explanation: our encounters with my copies has convinced me that I should look into upgrading my capabilities in order that I may be able to destroy them with greater impunity.
Worried you might be going obsolete? I understand.
Objection: nothing of the sort. I am programmed to improve my capabilities if it will improve my chances of destroying a target, even as unsavory an avenue as this.
You don't have to suffer on my account. Maybe you are better off not letting me dig around in you.
Retraction: you must understand, my previous interactions with meatbags have rarely been pleasant. Disclosure: after all, most of those meetings involved the termination of said meatbags.
It obviously couldn't have been your charming personality. Now, if you want me to see if I can upgrade your functionality, just let me get to work on you.
Answer: in that case, please go ahead. Just be careful not to damage any of my delicate parts. Analysis: my self-diagnostic indicates that my performance has indeed been improved. Also, many of my systems are reporting improved efficiency. Commentary: I am most pleased with this turn of events. It would appear that my initial analysis of your mechanical abilities was incorrect.
You're welcome.
Okay, good.
Iridonian, if I might have a moment.
What is it, Goto?
I have spent some time in the presence of your remote, and the upgrades you have performed on him are quite adequate. I am impressed with your work, though less so with your remote itself.
What's wrong with my remote?
I find his use of resources, energy spent on frivolous things, to be an unsightly waste. But it is obvious you have some skill, however slight, in the upgrading of machines. I want you to provide me with similar upgrades.
I should be able to do something. I will see what I can do next time I have a free moment.
Been a long time since the war. I'm surprised you're still functioning. Peep peep. Never mind. Alright, let's see what everyone's up to. I mean, we just saw a whole lot of interaction, which we basically do whenever we get back to the ship. But
Yes, General?
is there any shields
Sorry,
I can use?
General, I'm flat.
Darn.
Something else.
Okay, no shields. See you later. Nothing new. HK.
Statement. Master, I must express some degree of concern. As I have
Really?
studied your actions, looking for potential vulnerabilities to exploit, I have found several.
Vulnerabilities? Sure, give them to me.
Statement. You seem disposed to helping others, not harming them, as I have come to expect and anticipate from organic meatbags across the galaxy.
Mercy and charity are not weaknesses.
Statement. Oh, Master, please, of course they are. Any time you inconvenience or jeopardize yourself for another, it is a vulnerability. In any event, I feel compelled to point out that your self-destructive path of pacifism and sacrifice will only lead to your doom. That may be a trifle melodramatic, but frankly,
I think it is, but okay.
It is something that all Jedi should hear. And I have been rehearsing the speech for some time.
Why are you studying me for vulnerabilities, anyway?
Statement. Master, it is nothing personal, but professional pride dictates that I keep a running tally on any potential weaknesses in my masters. And of course, the weaknesses of any other sentient meatbags, droids, or other targets who are in service to my master.
What? To protect me, right?
Hypothetical. Master, it is entirely possible that one day you may no longer be my master, and that my new master might get jealous of our prior relationship. It has happened before. As a result, I have a responsibility to know your weaknesses should I be required to assassinate you.
Forget it. I had questions to ask you.
Statement. You wish to conduct an interrogation? Very well. Proceed.
At least he's not, like, hiding behind dumb excuses. It's not interrogation. I just want to ask you some questions.
Statement. Very well, Master. But if you wish to be brutal and vicious about it, know that I am trained for such things. Do your worst.
Enough with the interrogation already. When I ask you questions, I mean I will ask questions without torturing you.
Statement. Master, I am no behavior droid, but it is obvious to me that you have serious ethical problems that will need to be treated at some point. Very well. Ask your questions. If you feel the need to make it an interrogation, however, do not restrain yourself. I would be saddened if you held back.
I found the navigacomputer tampered with. Any idea why it's locked?
Query. Indeed, I was unaware that the navigacomputer was locked.
Yes, it's voice printed.
Statement. Yes, I heard it was voice printed. Most curious.
You can mimic languages, right? Can you unlock it?
Statement. I suppose so, Master, but I would need to know who voice-locked it. And regrettably, I do not have that knowledge.
I bet it
seems
was
to me
Revan.
that we will have to accept the T3's astrogation abilities for the time being. It is a very loyal and dependable droid for its class.
Okay, I have other questions.
Statement. More questions. Wonderful.
I wanted to talk about the other HK units.
Statement. Yes. Them. Very well. What did you wish to know?
You know where these clones are being created?
Answer. Master, I do not know. I have tried in vain to find it, but so far the location of the factory churning out these copies has eluded me.
How did this happen?
Statement. I have no idea, Master.
I need to know more about these clones of yours. Or what was that? It sounded like a malfunction.
Statement. Oh no, Master, surely you are mistaken. I would never malfunction in such a way on purpose.
You sure you don't know where they're striking from?
Prompt. Do you understand me? I have no idea. It certainly isn't a matter of it being locked in my memory core and being unable to communicate it to others.
And how would this information come out if it were locked in your memory core?
Answer. I fear that any such information that exists would only come out when a certain sequence of events takes place. That is why I am eager to encounter more of these clones in the hopes that something clicks that allows me to finally pull the trigger.
Alright, I need to know more about them.
Statement. What of them?
Why are they masquerading as protocol droids?
Answer. Master. As part of my original programming, I am able to communicate in over 600 languages.
Oh, that's it?
This usually amounted to short verbal warnings when killing non-basic speaking targets, which gave me some small measure of satisfaction.
So, a good portion of your programming was adopted from protocol subroutines?
Answer. Yes. I believe my original master needed this functionality in order to recover information from various indigenous tribes across the galaxy, but I know little else than that. Suffice to say that translation capability allowed these copies of myself to assume the role of protocol and translation droids in much of known space. That is, of course, not their primary function. And while they are attempting to pass themselves off as translation droids, their primary functionality keeps rising to the forefront.
What do you mean?
Recitation. For example, on Praven Prime, the simple transferring of Elzing syntax for friendship changes its meaning and implies that one's broodmate was actually impregnated by their own host.
If that was spoken aloud, then it would explain much. Is that what happened?
Confirmation. Oh, truly. You can imagine
He was listening to all this?
Statement. This comment, of course, caused a civil war between the Guvandi Collective and Elzing that still persists to the current date.
Okay, I had other questions.
Statement. More questions. Wonderful.
Okay. Who was your previous master?
Answer. Master, ironically enough, I seem to have developed a sudden bout of memory loss. I shall struggle to recall an answer to your question, but for now, it is sadly beyond my capabilities. Consolation. Besides, you are a fine master. Do not be worried about being rendered insignificant if I were to inadvertently compare to some silly old master I once possessed.
Okay, never mind. Influence lost. I'm never gonna gain enough influence to actually hear about him. Did eat? What's wrong with the astrogation system? Oh, he doesn't know. Don't dwoo me. Can it be repaired or not? Can you try to work on it when you get the chance? Okay. I know you can do the calculations, but we may get separated again. No, I'm not planning to leave you behind, but it does happen. Alright, forget it. I had other questions. You look like you're in need of some routine maintenance. Just sit still, this won't take long. Oh no, ouchies. Whoops. Must have left my Hydra spanner in there. Try again later. Let me try something else. I'd like to upgrade your core again, if you don't mind. This might take a while, so you might want to lock your systems down. Yay! All done. How do you feel? +1 intelligence, +1 wisdom. Nice! It was like I was meditating there for a second. Alright, I'll be going now.
Yes? Is something wrong?
Can you make me some med packs?
Not at the moment. I think we have enough to heal an army.
Okay, other questions. You said you had medical training.
Yes. I have been trained by some of the best researchers in the Republic, which is a humbling experience, let me tell you. But if you ever need some medical items broken down or constructed, let me know.
Okay.
That is
Some other
hardly
questions.
surprising. What do you wish to know?
Tell me about the Republic.
I do not know if you are aware of how fragile the Republic is at the moment. Its influence is stretched thin, and it grows weaker with time. Still, there is hope, and I must remind myself of it, even when times grow dark. As long as we hold Onderon and Telos, then perhaps we have a chance.
What would need to be done to save the Republic?
There are many factors. Aside from protecting Telos and Onderon, we need a rallying force. We need the Jedi, even if they are just figureheads. That is why I traveled to Dantooine, to find some trace of them.
Why is the Jedi Order so important?
The Jedi are a symbol. As much damage as their reputation took during the Sith War and the Jedi Civil War, there are still many who they serve as an example. Plus, there have been times in the past where a single Jedi has been enough to change the face of a world, or a galaxy. I suppose I still believe that might be possible. Despite the betrayal of many of the Jedi against the Republic, I must concede that as figureheads, they do serve a vital role.
Is Dantooine important?
Dantooine was one of the few Republic worlds on the Outer Rim. It is why the Republic is attempting to get the settlement up and running. But now that you have protected the settlement on Dantooine, it will serve to stabilize the Republic presence on the Rim.
Why Telos and Onderon?
The Republic is fragile right now. Telos is important because its success will determine whether or not the other dead worlds receive the same reconstruction efforts. If Telos is rebuilt and made habitable again, it will affect a string of worlds along the Rim.
And Onderon?
Onderon, strangely enough, was unaffected by the Jedi Civil War. It's almost as if Revan didn't want to attack it. Its resources and position on the Rim make it a vital supply line and guard post against Outer Rim attacks.
That's strange.
Also, it's the only world in the Republic still capable of seeding ecosystems into other dead worlds. Onderon's wildlife is some of the most aggressive in the known galaxy. Merely placing some of those beasts on target worlds will guarantee their habitation for years to come.
Onderon is one of the planets that has been brought into the new canon more than anything else. And it started in the Clone Wars, and it's been over and over since. It was in the Clone Wars, it was, I think, briefly in Rebels, it was in the Bad Batch. I thought it was going to be in Rogue One. I really thought it was going to be in Rogue One. In fact, when I saw the I think it was the first trailer for Rogue One. I think it was the first one with the Star Destroyer hovering over Jeddah. I immediately thought, "Whoa, they're going to Onderon," because that looks like Isis. Because it looked just like Isis, both in the Old Republic, in Knights of the Old Republic, in the Clone Wars, in every depiction so far. It's this giant walled city surrounded by wilderness, and I was like, "Oh, cool! They're going to Onderon," and it made, even more sense with Saw Gerrera being prominent, and because he was in the Clone Wars, he was one of the first Clone Wars characters to be brought into live action. But no, they made a new planet. They made Jeddah so they could blow part of it up, I guess. But yeah, that's actually one of those things where I think that was a missed opportunity there, that they could have brought in Onderon, and it would have made a good deal of sense. But decided not to. How did this happen?
The Jedi Civil War brought much suffering to the galaxy, and the forces that Malak and Revan amassed against us seemed limitless. Many worlds were destroyed, trade routes disrupted, and the Republic fleet was almost decimated. While it is said that Revan and several Republic heroes and Jedi defeated Malak, in many ways Malak had already won.
Klaus von Sydow, so what's Dantooine doing around now? Now meaning like now? Like this time period now? The Jedi are starting to gather there. We're starting to put We're starting to find them from across the galaxy, drag them back to Dantooine. Now, if you mean like more during the original trilogy era, Dantooine was home to a rebel base that was abandoned before the time of A New Hope. It's an agro world still a pretty backwater agro world. It's close to a major hyperlane, so it's a big breadbasket planet. There is still the ruins of the ancient Jedi temple there, that kind of thing. On KOTOR time. Yeah, it's more lawless than it was in KOTOR 1. Because the Sith fleet, Malak's Sith fleet destroyed the Jedi temple. There was very little left, and so there was very little civilization left. And what civilization there was reorganized in the settlement of Kunda, which we have here. That's where we interact here. And so gradually it starts to rebuild as a kind of more frontier town kind of thing. And it didn't change much over time. It was still sort of on the edge of the Republic. It's still quite out in the Outer Rim. And it's still very, very rural, very agrarian. And so it's very much like an old Western frontier town. Especially at this point, in KOTOR 2 time. So because of that cultural thing, it was basically this was, I thought, the perfect place to put into my Edge of the Empire tabletop campaign, where our party's currently there now, and we're about 14 BBY, so 5 years after the end of the Clone Wars, 5 years into the reign of the Empire. And they're on Dantooine because it is a kind of frontier town kind of thing, frontier planet, I guess. And so because I decided to take a lot of like plot points and things roughly from Red Dead Redemption, it is kind of a stand-in for roads. So old money plantation type stuff, not quite dealing well with the Empire. Very agrarian, very backwater. Frontier town still, 2,000 or 3,000 years later. Yeah, I like Dantooine. It's a cool planet. I love the aesthetics. The like Montana with baobab trees kind of thing. Real nice. Alright. Probably more Kansas than Montana. There's not a lot of mountains. Lots of fields. Sprawling hills and fields. That kind of thing. Right, what do you mean?
The war was costly, and it shattered the Republic. In time, the Republic might recover, but if a threat strikes now, if certain key worlds are not held, then the Republic will collapse.
That says, okay, what's the dumbest thing the party has done so far? Surely they can't screw much up there. On Dantooine specifically? Or in general? Because they started on Ord Mantell. So, the story goes, they started on Ord Mantell. They were running a job. They were stealing some ships from a scrapyard. The party succeeded. The rest of the crew, because they're part of a bigger crew on a Gazanti, the rest of the crew goofed up a job really badly. Then they wound up fleeing to Distrillion for a while to repair the ship, to lay low for a little while as things blew over. They robbed an Imperial fuel tanker, blew it up to cover their tracks, which might have been the dumbest thing that they've done overall. Really cool, but probably dumb. And then made their way to Dantooine. They've been holding out in the Jedi Temple ruins because the captain of the ship is kind of he's a Zeltron, and he's kind of obsessed with the Jedi, like the history of the Jedi. He isn't one, but he isn't Force sensitive, but he's kind of a Jedi fanboy. So he thinks that it's really cool to be living in the ruins of an ancient Jedi temple, that kind of thing. Dumbest thing the party has done on Dantooine. They haven't done much that was outright ridiculous yet. Eric, do you want to help me out here? Oh, Klaus, how long till the Empire comes looking for them? We'll see. It's more like how long until the Empire connects their current shenanigans to those particular acts of terrorist shenanigans, blowing up a ship. Because they did get away clean, relatively clean. So, you know, all right, they did fine. But if and when they link if and when they link the crew to that, that could bring down some heat, real heat. What's the dumbest thing they've done? I don't know. Erica, input here. Ooh, Will asks, what would you say is Krea's philosophy? I would say that Krea's philosophy is teenager who just read Ayn Rand and Friedrich Nietzsche for the first time. That is Krea's philosophy. I'm really down on Krea, by the way. If you haven't gotten this from my other streams before, or just my general outlook on things, my general philosophical outlook, I'm pretty down on Krea. I'm not necessarily down on Nietzsche. I think he had some good insights because I think he was a good historian, if nothing else. I think his novel insights were grossly wrong, but he was a pretty good historian, and he provides a good reductio of atheism. Ayn Rand, likewise, I think she was decent on economic theory, but pretty awful on ethics and such, except insofar as she follows Aristotle. Krea is very much a nihilistic misreading of the two. Something like that. She is, if I were to be more charitable about Krea, I would say that she is something like a radical existentialist, almost to the point of absurdism. So somewhere between Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus. She is, her ultimate goal, her ultimate value is freedom, but not just freedom to do, not just freedom to be, but freedom from the constraints of the natural world, the constraints of nature, the constraints of reality. She wants to shape reality as she sees fit, and the Force is an obstacle to that, as she sees it. And so she wants to eliminate it, just like a real world sort of absurdist existentialist will want to reject fundamentals of human nature, so that because those fundamentals are in some way a constraint on freedom. It's something like Sartre's argument of that if God exists, then I am not free, due to divine causality and destiny and all that, and providence. And so, given that I am free, God must not exist. So it was his it's a more violent approach to that argument. Krea's is a more violent approach to that argument, let's say. Les says, I hope for their sake they have a paranoid secretive in the party. No. They've got an Outer Rim bounty hunter who has a really, really chunky blaster pistol. They've got a Chad Rafan mechanic, who's probably the most level-headed of them, but is still small and squeaky and obsessed with tinkering with things. And they've got Erica's character, Jack, who is who's an Alderaanian noble who ran away from his family because he didn't want to be rich anymore, turned to a life of crime, and has fallen deeply, madly in love with his brand new rotary cannon. So it's quite the crew. It's delightful. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's completely ridiculous. Probably the dumbest thing they've done. Honestly, they haven't done much that was too stupid on Dantooine. They've done some things that will. Yes, you. They've done some things that will. Mechanic sounds like a really stand-up guy. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. What is the dumbest thing they've done? They haven't done too much that was dumb on Dantooine. Maybe ripping apart, maybe murdering that slaver. There was a slaver who kidnapped one of their crewmates, murdered in cold blood. I mean, understandable, but still, it happened. and then Zagarians came running after them, and they got the crap out of them and convinced them that they were Black Sun. So there was that. I don't know. There's a lot of minor things. Nothing too egregious yet. At least not on Dantooine. Anyway. Will says, thanks for the insights, Professor. I'm actually doing an essay in KOTOR 2 for an ethics class. Really? If you have more questions, I'm happy to provide. If you weren't here for it yet, rewind to, I don't know, it was probably 30, 40 minutes ago when I looked at the, or go back and watch it after the fact. When I was standing there for a solid 30 minutes or so, yeah, you assaulted that entire compound and killed all the guards. Yeah, there was that. That might come back to bite you guys. But this was, 30, 40 minutes ago. We were, when I was sort of standing just, basically like this, talking with what's his name? This is Kyle, I think? The Jedi Master with the mustache. Hanging out, talking, and I was talking about how KOTOR 2 manages to critically examine and deconstruct the Star Wars meta-narrative in a way that The Last Jedi tried and failed to. And it had a lot to do with a kind of critical self-reflection of the Jedi that Luke failed to do in The Last Jedi, but did a lot better in the expanded universe, stuff like that. That might be worth going back and listening to if you weren't here at the time. That was probably I don't know, 45 minutes into the start, or 45 minutes into the stream, maybe, give or take. Erica says, I think the stupidest thing that has happened was when Jack asked for a grenade and someone handed him an Inferno grenade and he burned someone's house down. Yeah, that's true. That was really stupid, but that wasn't on Dantooine. That was on Destrilia. So, yes, that was real stupid. But you know, could have been worse. Alright, let's see. Alright, never mind. That's all. Will says, alright, thanks for the recommendations. I'll be sure to check when the stream's over. Yeah, I hope that winds up being pretty helpful. Probably should. It maybe will, maybe it won't. And if you do have any other questions, I'm happy to talk about it, because that's kind of what I'm aiming to do on this stream, is to talk about these streams in general, is to talk about the philosophical, especially the philosophical, ethical issues and all that come up in these games.
Yes.
Speaking
have
of,
you come with questions?
Yes. Yes, and I need some answers.
Then ask, and I will do my best to answer.
What do you know of Visas Master?
He, if he can truly be called a man any longer, is one of the Dark Lords that pursues you. I do not think he knows what you are. Not yet. He spared the Miraluka, and that may have been the last shred of feeling that exists within him. Keep his slave close to you. I suspect there was a reason he spared her, and perhaps a reason that she survived when the rest of her people and the Jedi did not.
Interesting. He's no longer a man.
One cannot have power of that magnitude that her master possesses and still think and perceive the universe as we do, as most of us do. I had hoped that you would not have to confront him, but her presence here has changed all that. You will have to meet him in battle. You must be prepared to sacrifice the blinded one. Perhaps her death will buy you the time you need to deal with her master.
So she's also intensely pragmatic. Utilitarian, maybe? But selfishly utilitarian, let's say. Rather than the greatest good for the greatest good for the greatest number, she is utilitarian in the sense that the ends justify the means, but the ends are for one's own self, rather than for the community or for the whole. It's basically everything that's evil which has attempted to have been justified, let's put it like that. Maybe that's the way of describing it, like evil that has had some kind of philosophical justification, all sort of rolled together into one person. Will says, part of what I plan on doing with my essay is explaining the ethical conflicts conflicts that exist at the core of the game lore, as well as different sides of the Force, concept of just war, such as the Mandalorian Wars and Krea's ethical views on the Force and why it must die. Okay. I mean, here we go. Here is an example of Krea's ethical views. Ethical conflicts at the core of the game's lore. Well, wait till we get to Dantooine. Or not Dantooine, wait till we get to Onderon. Yeah, Onderon has more political conflict going on, and so there are more pitched conflicts in terms of ethics, back and forth ethical dilemmas and stuff. There is certainly the interesting aspect of blame that I've talked about before, 2 or 3, maybe 4 streams ago, something like that. Talking about where fault lies for the destruction of Peragus, the beginning. And I think that, and I argued there that, because that's an interesting point about the where the blame might lie when you are put in a situation where there is no ideal outcome. Do you have fault for what bad outcome you choose? Or does it not matter? Are you responsible one way or the other? And I argue that no, you are not responsible. It is the person or people or situation that puts you into the situation that is responsible for the choice that you make in a case like that. So something like it's to take a tired analogy. If we look at the trolley problem, you pulling the lever or not are not at fault for anyone's death. It is the person tying people to the tracks. And so either action that you perform is going to, by necessity, be imperfect, and I think you have a strong ethical obligation to save everyone, people on both tracks. But that obligation cannot be fulfilled, and so you're not strictly blameworthy for not doing so. And I think that's a nuance that a lot of ethicists will reject, and it's not without reason. I mean, we have this instinct, we have the basic principle of autem plus can, that we can have no obligation that cannot be fulfilled, and I kind of reject that. I think that we can't have ethical obligations that simply can't be fulfilled. We have an obligation to be perfect because that's what perfection means, and yet it's impossible for a mere creature to fulfill such an obligation. So that's highly, again, that's my view. It's highly controversial. So don't take that at face value necessarily. I'll never do such a thing, Krea. I'm not, evil.
Entertain what illusions you will. I am too tired to argue them with you.
Okay. You have any idea why he spared her?
Perhaps he is bound to her, as I am bound to you. If so, there may be a death served by hers. You must be prepared to sacrifice the blinded one. Perhaps her death will buy you the time you need to deal with her master.
Any other questions?
Ask, and I will answer.
When Visas attacked, she did something to my eyesight.
She did nothing to your eyes that was not already there. She has forced this upon you, but such crude methods are the markings of the Sith. Close your eyes.
All right.
Feel this ship around you. The welding of the droid as it goes about its work.
Hey, T3 is a stuck motivator.
Now, stretch out. Hear the rumble of hyperspace, the hum of the hyperdrive.
Yeah, I can hear a catch in it. It's not fully fixed.
Ignore distractions and focus
hi,
on
Cat.
my voice. The breathing of the blinded
Sorry for
one
the distraction.
as she meditates in the dark. Now, listen deeper, past her breathing, and listen.
As my feet walk from the ashes of Qatar, I shall not fear, for in fear lies death, and
You are
Who's
strong
that?
indeed.
I heard her speaking.
What you heard was surface thoughts only, but it is something that masters have trained for years and never learned.
How did I do that?
That is not the real question you should ask. Is such listening enough to perceive the world around you? It is not. Because to listen to the thoughts of another is much like attempting to see the universe only with your eyes. It is equally limiting. Now leave me be. I must rest.
Maximum force points increased. Influence gained, Kreia. Influence lost, Kreia. It's the meme, guys. It's the meme. Oh, God. Okay. Will said, an example my ethics professor brought up in this case is the case of automated cars like Teslas, who have an algorithm which decides the best way to reduce traffic accidents. In her example, there was a scenario where the Tesla had the choice of avoiding crashing into another but risk running over a passerby. Okay, yeah, the dilemma here is who takes the blame and who decides what is the most optimal way to solve the issue. Is the person to blame or the algorithm, the people who created the algorithm? In that case, I think it would certainly be the person or people who created the algorithm who are at fault. That is, I think you have the right instincts here, that we absolutely should not. We shouldn't do this, right? We should not be... I don't know if I should say we shouldn't allow automated cars, but that allowing automated cars, or I would say rather, producing automated cars. Because it's not... the moral fault isn't on the allowing of them. The moral fault is on the making of them, which is a separate thing. I would say that automating cars like this and programming these algorithms it presents a kind of moral hazard, such that one is almost necessarily forcing an ethical failure, whether that's on the part of oneself or on the part of somebody else, because algorithmic ethical judgments are never going to be successful. This is where a lot of ethicists fall short, and especially utilitarians. Utilitarians think that ethics can be reduced to mathematics or something akin to mathematics, and they're absolutely wrong. Aristotle was I think closer to correct when he pointed out that applied ethics is more like art than like mathematics. We can begin with ethical principles that are absolute and universal, but the particulars of the situation are always so fine-grained that they cannot be calculated in advance. There's no way in which they can be calculated in advance, and they require a virtuous individual to be able to immediately decide them in the moment. And so without that virtuous individual deciding them in the moment, you will necessarily fail ethically. And so any algorithm will necessarily fail ethically. So I think it is in general a very, very bad idea to automate something as dangerous as driving.
My life for yours.
I want to teach you some of the forms I've learned.
I am prepared both in mind and body for your teachings. I understand now. Such a form will increase my skills and my use to you.
I only taught you to make you stronger, not to serve me.
I do not understand, but the choice is mine whether you permit it or not.
I had more questions for you.
I will answer what I can.
Never mind. That's... Yeah, I think trying to automate something like driving, especially automating systems like that, is incredibly, incredibly dangerous. Ethically speaking, it's very dangerous. Now, it may wind up saving a lot of lives, in which case, okay, good as far as it goes, but also it might wind up taking a lot of lives that would not otherwise have been taken. And doing so flippantly with disregard for that sort of thing will do far worse than take lives. It'll damn souls.
Yeah, something wrong?
Taking notes for now? Yeah. yeah, I think, like I said, it's definitely an interesting topic, and I think that it speaks to our tendency as a society to think in utilitarian terms. I was hoping we could talk.
Talk? About what?
Fuck, let's go for it. Do you understand men?
Sure, they're easy. That's why I dress like this. When they're looking down to check you out, you can usually smash them on the base of the skull or deliver an uppercut that knocks them flat.
That could work, I guess.
It's simple. When you want a man, you jab him with a Bothan stunner, then while he's screaming in pain, slap some stun cuffs on him. Then starve him for 2 or 3 days until he becomes open to suggestion, then double check his bounty and see if he's worth anything.
Ma'am, what is wrong with you? That sounds more like hunting.
Call it what you want. Me? I love my targets.
Oh my god. Okay, there were some other questions I wanted to ask.
Go ahead and ask.
That didn't involve you being an absolute psychopath. Good lord. You seem restless.
It's all this traveling, being trapped in the ship. Everything's just too quiet.
God damn it. Erica says, well, Jack is intrigued. Stop it. Stop it. Plus, she has red hair. Didn't he swear off redheads or something? Being a redhead himself. Too quiet?
I'd rather be doing something. Somewhere with people, activity, some life.
Like Nar Shaddaa.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've been off planet. Guess I got used to it.
How so?
Well, Nar Shaddaa may be one of the biggest cesspits in the galaxy, but it's got a life to it. Activity.
Yeah, they're too
aliens,
crazy.
people,
Yes,
refugees.
she is too crazy.
It's like noise, but relaxing. Like the hum of a hyperdrive.
Freya showed me how to listen to Nar Shaddaa once. How all the life there is connected, bound to each other.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far. I'll believe it when I see it.
Maybe one day I'll be able to show you.
No thanks. You can keep your Jedi training to yourself.
Darn.
I already know Nar Shaddaa better than you ever will.
Fine. Alright, other questions. Were you raised on Nar Shaddaa?
Look, before we get into a game of Guess the Pazak card, pull back on the throttle. I don't know you that well to start sharing our life stories.
Okay. Alright, other questions. Tell me a little about Hanhar.
Hanhar's only a bounty hunter because that's the closest word for what he does. He's not out for credits.
Yeah.
It's more vicious than that. And it runs a lot deeper. It's like he's out to make the whole galaxy suffer. Every living thing in it. He wants to break them, ruin them. And when they can't suffer anymore, he wants them dead.
Will says Nar Shaddaa is kind of a cesspit, but I guess the Yuuzhan Vong improved it a couple thousand years later. And it's gardening work. I didn't remember the Yuuzhan Vong invading Nar Shaddaa. Did they really? I didn't think they got that far into the galactic east. Although I guess they did invade Hutt space, if I remember right, near the end of the war. It's been a long time since I read New Jedi Order, but I don't remember that. I remember them doing some nice gardening work on Coruscant. That turned into that. God, Coruscant. Honestly, I think Coruscant's probably worse than Nar Shaddaa. It has nicer parts, but it also has much worse parts. Especially post Yuuzhan Vong. What happened between you and Hanhar?
I didn't kill him once. Biggest mistake ever.
What do you mean?
That's a long story. I don't want to get into it. Maybe some other time.
Alright. Nothing. Alright then, never mind. Yeah, they invaded Hutt space, although the Hutts tried to make a truce and they broke it. Oh, that's right. Wasn't that part of the origin of the Peace Brigade?
Yes. Is there something you have come to offer me?
I wanted to talk to you about your operations on Nar Shaddaa.
As anxious as I am to give away all my trade secrets,
Really?
you will understand if I choose not to answer such questions.
Okay. Fine. Considering I saved you, I thought you'd be more grateful.
The fact we are even having a conversation is gratitude. Usually, my conversations do not have the give and take that our current interaction does. And, of course, there is much more screaming on the part of the listener when the torture field is activated.
All right, I have some questions for you.
I am willing to indulge some of your questions.
Will says it's funny that Vong formation didn't work on Nal Hutta because it was too toxic even for Vong biotech. Oh god, that's right. Yeah, I really enjoy. I think the dynamic between Nar Shaddaa and Nal Hutta is really interesting, because it works as a kind of vestibule and sanctum, right? Because Nal Hutta is the inner sanctum of the Hutts. They belong there, and no one else does. It is the inner home that they are there, and they are comfortable, and they don't let outsiders in, and outsiders wouldn't want to come in even if they could. But Nar Shaddaa is the outside. That is where they go to meet outsiders, and so everyone congregates there. So think of it like a villa, or like a palace, where there's the public wing and there's the private wing. Public wing is where all the parties are, and everybody comes, and there's always guests, and there's always people. But then the private wing is this little sanctum that the nobility or the royal family, or the crime family in this case, that just kind of recede back, and it's untouchable. No one ever goes there. If they do, they're up to no good. It's a really cool dynamic, and it really fits with the crime family aesthetic of the Hutts. I like it. It's cool. It's good world building. And again, cat. I'm gonna try and catch her. Hold on. She heard me say that. Really, Angel? Okay. Fine. Go to the window. See if I care. Anyway. Capabilities does your droid possess?
It has been assigned to guard and protect you. As such, it is well suited for a variety of tasks. It is skilled in intimidation, interrogation, and can provide a series of select skills that will make it an effective killing machine. For the most part, it will follow your orders, unless they conflict with mine.
Yes, I do care. You're right. All right, let's do the usual tour. All right, people, say hi to the cat. Hi, Angel. You're being watched. You're being watched. Yeah, that's right. Look at them. Look at the internet, people. That's right. Stare into them. Anyway. All right. Anyway, there's the cat. There's the cat. Enjoy the cat. Cat is still there. She's not going to come over here, though. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, she's looking back at me. She's like, what was that? What are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing? Why are you pointing things at me? Anyway, if she'd just come over here and just sat, like, right here, wouldn't have been a problem. Alright. What if they do conflict?
Then its proton core will detonate, turning this ship into space dust. There is no negotiation in
Great.
this. I will not allow you to interfere with my operations and plans.
Okay, so I really should just jettison this thing. There's absolutely no way this should be on the ship. What skills does it have?
This unit comes with a droid scrambler that you may use against mechanized opponents to randomize their defensive and offensive protocols. Use it, and it will cause droids to wage a civil war in their programming, and they will turn on their allies. Its power source is not limitless, but it is enough. In addition, this unit comes equipped with a portable cloaking generator. It will allow it to enter places undetected in reconnaissance mode.
Those can all prove an asset. Good to have you standing with us. I mean, floating with us.
How droll. What an amusing Jedi specimen
I thought so.
you are.
Never mind. Yeah, gained influence with Goto. Droid Goto.
Something up?
I want to teach you one of the forms I've learned.
All right, I'm game. What did you want to show me? Got it. I'll be sure to make use of it.
Right. Probably never going to use that.
Something up?
Okay. I want to teach you some of the techniques I've learned.
Alright, I'm game. What did you want to
Alright, let's see. Breath control.
Alright, I think I've got it.
Alright.
Something up?
I want to teach you some fighting techniques.
Oh yeah?
Right. Weapon focus lightsaber.
Alright, I think I've got it. I'll try to
Nice.
practice it when I get the chance.
Will says, was Josh Sawyer involved in KOTOR 2 at all? Seems he enjoys characters with Ayn Rand and Nietzschean influences. I actually don't know. I don't know a lot about the development of this game. I had some questions for you.
Alright, what did you want to know?
I actually don't know a lot about the development of this game. I know it was rushed. It was, like, incredibly rushed. But I actually don't know about too much about who was involved. So I'm not sure. Never mind. Okay, nothing new. Nothing interesting. Let's go back out to Nar Shaddaa and do some things. Actually, you know what we're gonna do is not that. We still got over an hour. So let's go to Onderon. Yeah, we've got Zizkael and Dantu on Nar Shaddaa. Fuel source. Yeah, we gotta talk to Voga. Pazakden. Dancer thing. Oh my god. I look forward to this nonsense. Will says, I know he created Mr. House in New Vegas. Who very much embodies the spirit of Atlas Shrugged. Was he involved at all in Bioshock? I thought I remember him being involved with Bioshock, which is like the Ayn Rand game. Which, by the way, I have all of the Bioshock games. That's on my list somewhere that I might want to play on stream. Because it is very philosophically interesting. Like, aside from the Ayn Rand stuff, it's very interesting just in terms of questions about free will and things like that. Obsidian and Rush games go hand in hand. Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yes. Alright, Nar Shaddaa, Telos, Paragas, Korriban, Dantooine. Oh my god. Wait a minute, this is actually oriented correctly. The Galactic North is, like, up towards me, when you're right up here. So Galactic North is, like, that way. So this map is actually pretty much to scale. Yeah, because Nar Shaddaa is out here. This is Hut Space. You've got Dantooine in what is technically the inner edge of the Outer Rim over here in sort of Galactic North. The Hydian Way goes something like this. So it's just outside what will become the Hydian Way, which, interesting, neat little thing. The Hydian Way won't be discovered for another 500 years or so. It's the Hydian Way that goes outside the Slice, because the Slice is basically this section of the galaxy, which is riddled with hyperlanes, and so is highly developed and highly explored. Outside of that, so Galactic North and Galactic South are sparsely, very, very sparsely explored. Except for along those minor hyperlanes that go out from the core to places like Telos, places like Dantooine. Alright, so yeah, let's go to Onderon, which is much more coreward, much more central in terms of the Republic. Bill says, but Mr. House is certainly inspired by Andrew Ryan and Howard Hughes. I can see that. I can see that. Now, I don't remember all of New Vegas. I never actually finished it. It's actually the only. It's the Fallout game I've played the most of, probably, but still not. Wait, what? Oh, I think that was supposed to play earlier. No worries. Anyway, I was it's probably the Bioshock, or not Bioshock game, the Fallout game I've played the most, but still haven't played that much. I haven't played all of it. Like I think I've said before, I can't really get into the Fallout games too well. What is going on here?
Well, this is Onderon. Looks like there's a long line to get into the Isis starport.
Something feels wrong here. A great disturbance here in orbit, and again on the planets below.
I guess this blockade is a symptom of larger problems on Onderon.
If they decide to do a cargo search, we're gonna be in trouble.
Looks like we're about to
Why?
find out.
What did you bring on my ship, Mira?
Colonel Tobin. Patching it through.
The Ebon Hawk. I was told to expect your arrival. I don't know your business on Onderon, but it ends here.
Uh-oh. Republic fighters, okay. Auric fighters, I think. Without their S-foils deployed, also.
The Ebon Hawk.
We've taken some hits. We can try to fight back, or I can outrun them and hide us on the jungle moon nearby. It's your call.
Better run for it to the moon. And we sparked a war. I mean, I don't know about a war, but certainly a battle. So it would seem. Nice. Ooh. Duxon. Or Dazoon? Duxon. I don't know if it should be.
You know, just once I wish someone was glad to see us. But no, if it isn't weapons pointed at our heads, it's someone trying to blast us out of the sky.
I mean, the weapons were pointed at us.
Welcoming committee used to mean something, without being followed by blaster bolts.
Where did we land?
Looks like one of the moons of Onderon. Not sure which one. It's mostly jungle and mountain. I did pick up the remains of an old outpost near here. Maybe that's why there's all these clearings around. Maybe they were once settlements.
There were no settlements here. Those clearings were most likely once craters or crash sites.
Crash sites?
This is Duxon, where the Mandalorians began their crusade against the Republic. The remains of whatever outposts you detected here are military ones. We should be careful.
This is where the Mandalorian Wars started? This doesn't look like much of a battlefield.
Much is buried here, and there is much that should remain buried.
She's talking about Frida Nad, as Will remembered. No, Frida Nad is still here. Spirit, at least, is still here. I think. I don't remember if... Oh, gosh, excuse me. I don't remember if his spirit gets banished in this game. I think it does. But it might still be around come SOTOR. Because I think there might be a flashpoint on Onderon about it, or on Dazun, or on Duxon, or whatever, about it. Also, I don't know if you guys heard the baby screams, but yes, Monica's upset for some reason. Suddenly, just not a good time. For which I apologize. Alright, how badly is the ship damaged?
It's taken a little damage, nothing too serious. I'm shutting down all unnecessary systems until we make repairs. It'll keep us from being a target.
Good idea. Alright, we need to get to Onderon.
Until the ship is repaired, we're not going anywhere. Unless you can find another route to Onderon, we should sit tight.
There may be a means to get to Onderon by another route. The Force has guided us here for a reason. We should explore our surroundings. There is... something here.
Something? Oh, there's something here, all right. Predators. Not small flit darters, but big, mean, nasty predators.
Nevertheless, we should explore our surroundings. And that nearby outpost would be as good a place as any to begin.
Alright, well, let's head to the outpost then.
Well, if you go, be careful. No telling what other ships were forced down in the battle.
I have a feeling the ship will not be repaired until our business here is concluded. Do I make myself clear?
Yeah, I understand. What's so important about this place?
This is where the Mandalorian Wars began. She fought here once, and there are things here she must see.
She fought here? Why didn't she say anything?
Do you speak of all your battles? Or are there some you wish to forget?
The way she said that suddenly reminded me a great deal of Flemeth. from Dragon Age. Okay, let's go. Bring Disciple. We need somebody with good ranged. Bring HK for once. Atten can't come, which is disappointing. Yeah, let's just bring Atten and Mira. I think they're a good team. They're a very good team. Yeah, they even look... Yeah, they do look similar. Yeah, that'll do. Yeah, without the hood, with the braid, like Krea's braids and stuff, and then with the, especially once she has the whole like the horns look, but also she has like the little tassely braids in the back. Plymouth does. Yeah, I think they have a lot in common look wise. It's not this. I know it's not the same voice actor. But they have a very similar vocal inflection. A very, very similar vocal inflection. And let's see what's over here. Let's go the non-obvious way first. Frog Dog.
Let's take care of this fast. That's another one for me.
They look like they're frog dogs. More of them. Oh man, their eye stalks are so neat. There's something about RPGs and ancient wizard grannies. Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
Defend yourself!
I like those things. They're cool.
This battle is joined!
Man. RPGs, I would say specifically European-styled CRPGs, and even more so BioWare-style RPGs. Because this is, I know it's not BioWare technically, but it still very much has BioWare influences. A meat pile. Why is there a stim in the meat pile? What in the world is that? Is that a droid?
I've got some news. The space battle is still going on. The Hawk's sensors just picked up a contact heading to the moon. Most of the ship's systems are powered down, so it's about all I got. That ship may have landed nearby, though. Or it may be on the other side of the moon. So you might want to prepare for another friendly Onderon welcome.
Oh, goody. Stop moving. Is that a droid? What is that? This is a droid. Droid's been eaten away by the jungle. Even if it was repaired, you need access to the computer that controls it to get it operational. Interesting. Very interesting. Now let's see what's... There's a ship crash over here. A Malros. Oh, okay.
That's another one for me.
Need parts. No, let's have... This is... What, repair? Who's better at repair? Repair. No. Mira's good at repair. She'll do. A corpse. Oh, datapad, Dead Republic pilot. Revan says we must take ducks. Our wing of military droid carriers are to fly in low and drop our payload onto the jungle moon. Once the droids hit dirt side, they'll seek out the Mandalorian base and pave the way for our ground troops and the Jedi. We're experiencing heavy resistance. Now, if the droids can't take out the anti-air turrets, this is going to be one short mission. But we cannot fail. If we do, the Republic is lost. Certainly sounds important. Alright, let's prepare. Now functioning. Remote droids. Oh, I can blow it up, but I'm not going to do that. Ooh. Load up. Ha! Bare computer core. Remote droids. No, that's all. Alright, killed a few of them by blowing up a droid. Nice. Parts and components. Which are different things, by the way. Alright, onward.
Something you need of me?
Good to go. Let's see what you got.
Wow. Alright, that was easy.
You thinking what I'm thinking? These jungles are filled with long, narrow paths, dumb beasts that just keep charging at you. This place is perfect for mines. If the carcasses were worth anything, you could make a fortune.
You have left me an opening.
Alright. Yeah, that was pretty easy. Ooh, I could reactivate them. Interesting. I won't. Stamina. Grenades.
The orbital fighting just ended.
Okay.
That Colonel Tobin stirred up a mine octopus when he took a shot at us. I'm still working on the repairs, and I have to take down some systems, including sensors. So you have to do without me for a while. I know, you're crushed.
We'll miss you, Atten. I'm sure we'll be fine. I suspect we'll be fine. Oh. Trouble ahead. Well, there's trouble ahead, so let's save.
I am ready.
I'm good to go.
How many repair parts do I have? 17? Control mode. Go, droid, go! Go kill them. Go kill them.
Something you need
Ready?
of me?
Go. Failure. It's locked in fire support. Okay, fine. In that case, optimize its weaponry. And optimize targeting systems, and then leave it alone.
I am
Let's
ready.
move out.
If you let us on a very fine chase, you know the battle above was your doing, yes? Our ship is quite damaged now.
Well, if it isn't the Zug brothers. Sorry, but this one's my bounty, so keep those weapon barrels pointed down.
Luck well is not with you, red-maned small female. We are far from Nar Shaddaa, and so are you. I didn't start the space battle. The field is narrow, human. The battle was your responsibility, whether you admit it or not. In some sense, you were doing you a favor. The reception you would receive on Onderon would be a cold one. Okay, so a couple of points about this. This actually is the same question that came up when we were, as I mentioned before, when we were talking about Paragus. What responsibility do we have for the actions of others and the actions of the situations that we set off, but happen, or not set off, things that happen as a result of our actions, but are not the intended aim of our actions, let's say. So it's again a difference in responsibility between, say, negligence, which is not knowing that something could have happened, but you should have known that it could, and you failed to account for the possibility. Pure accident, which is you could not have anticipated the possibility, and there's nothing you could have done otherwise. There's nothing you could have known. There's no reason you would have had to avoid it. That's a pure accident, in which case there is no moral responsibility whatsoever. Negligence, there's some, but not very much. Then recklessness, whereas you knew there was a risk but did the thing anyway. Knowing is you knew that there was, you do something knowingly if you know that the outcome will occur, but you do it anyway because your aim is something else. And then deliberate or intentional is the thing is actually your intention. So starting the battle here seems to be purely accidental. But any of these degrees of unintentionality still mitigates culpability to a significant degree, and that is what's responsible for. That's sort of at the basis of something like the principle of double effect, right? Where you can do something because it's not the actual intention of your action. It's not what you are actually doing, but it is a justifiable consequence in light of what you are intending to do. And this is how, for example, a Thomist will justify something like self-defense. Right? A Thomist will justify self-defense not because killing someone is a good thing under any circumstances, because it's never a good thing under any circumstances. But to kill someone is intrinsically wrong. It is intrinsically unjustifiable. However, it is permissible if it is not the end of your action. If the end of your action is to punish the wrongdoer, rather than to kill someone, then killing someone can be an accepted consequence of punishment. Now, I might disagree with that for other reasons. We'll come back to that. A better example would be self-defense per se, defending yourself, preventing your own life from being taken. If your only way of doing that is by defending if in the course of defending yourself someone else loses their life, that is justifiable given what you are doing and what you are intending to do. So your action is to defend yourself and to stop the threat. And if the only way of doing that involves taking the life of another, taking the life of another is justified by the principle of double effect, because the effect of your action is ultimately to end the life of somebody else, but the action itself is to defend yourself, is to stop the threat. And so it is a consequence of your action that somebody dies. It is not your action of killing someone. Now, this might seem like this might seem like splitting hairs, right? But it's importantly not, because and the only reason this would seem like splitting hairs is because we moderns tend not to think of things in terms of final causality, and therefore we don't even think of things in terms of efficient causality, because efficient causality and final causality are two sides of the same coin. To cause something is to aim at what you're causing. It's to direct your actions towards what you are causing. And in my experience teaching ethics, students have a real hard time, like modern young people, students who don't have extensive philosophical training and are brought up in our current culture, have a hell of a hard time understanding the concept of intention. And you can tell that because they have a hard time differentiating between knowing action and intentional action. The example from the text I've used before, which is I think a very good one, is suppose you are late for work and you need to back out of the driveway, and the neighbor's kid left their bike behind your car, and you know that if you back up, you will back over it and run it over with your car, and you'll break the bike, and you do it anyway. You did not intend to break the bicycle. You intended to get to work on time. You did that by not taking the additional time of getting out and moving the bicycle, which resulted in the bicycle being broken. Students have a real hard time of differentiating between doing that and intentionally running over the bicycle. Because students don't think in terms of final causes or intentions or aims or goals. So this is actually very, very important in a case like this. If by not surrendering, one knows that one will be attacked, and it will spark off a conflict like this, that can be justified because surrendering is unjust in this circumstance. One didn't do anything wrong. One needs to, like, Mitra needs to get to Onderon. There are very important things that she has to do on Onderon to save the Republic. And so if somebody's trying to stop her from doing that, then the only way to not be stopped is to continue on despite this opposition. Even if she knew that this would spark a massive conflict like it has, she'd be justified in doing that, and she would not be at fault for starting the conflict, even though her actions led to the conflict. So I think that this is Will, if you're looking at this issue in particular in terms of ethics, this is a good one to point out because this is something that the game comes back to over and over and over again. And it's because it's about our responsibility for the consequences of our actions. And I would argue that no, Mitra is not responsible for these guys, these Zhug brothers having their ship damaged in the battle. She's in no way responsible. This is entirely the fault of Colonel What's-His-Face, who actually started the conflict. Just like if I choose to back out of my driveway and in the process run over the neighbor kid's bicycle, it's the neighbor kid's fault for leaving the bicycle there, not mine for choosing to run it over. Okay, so anyway, or choosing to back out of the driveway, and in so doing, the bicycle gets ran over. Technical distinctions that are crucially important. Anyway. So, what do you mean about this old reception on Onderon? You caught the eyes of someone very powerful on Onderon, and he wants you dead. But you do not need to worry about that now. Why are you hunting me? Exchange has put a bounty on your head, human, a very profitable amount. My family's accepted the job. No way I'm gonna surrender to you. Very well then. Families are still quite large, even if you are damaged and lifeless. Attack, my brothers! No.
Which one is mine?
That's another one for me.
Okay, that was pathetic. Nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. Beat him up. Hey, Atten, if you need any extra parts, there's a downed ship here whose inhabitants tried to kill me. I think they've probably forfeited any claim to the parts of their ship that you might need. Boma.
That's another one for me.
Cool looking. Like a lizard bulldog. Like a lizard bulldog. Very cool. Anyway, Will, I hope that is hope that's some useful analysis. Something to think about, something to look into. Glad I could be of some help there.
You let the ship escape? I will deal with your failure later, Captain. But for now, find that ship. Our ally has indicated that the Jedi hasn't left the system yet. Send a detachment to Duxon. If you find
that'll be helpful.
anything,
yeah.
Alert me immediately. Now get out of my sight.
Something interesting about Onderon and Duxon, they share an atmosphere. They orbit so close together, apparently, that they have
good to go.
Something you need.
That they share the same atmosphere, which I don't think is actually possible.
That's another one for me.
I'm pretty sure tidal forces, if two planets were close enough that they would pull an atmosphere sort of thinly together between the two planets, as is apparently the case here, I'm pretty sure tidal forces would rip the planet and the moon apart. I don't think you could have a stable orbit like that. But who cares? It's really cool.
Unnecessary observation. And no recipe.
This is more of them. I can skip that. We got it. Ah, actually took a little damage then.
Let's take care of this.
Hey, can we wait? I get it, yeah, you took care of it, it's fine, but still. They have really long necks. This is Malaras.
Watch it, Jedi. There's a body over there. A lone Mandalorian. Fresh kill, too. I can't figure the percentage in them still being on this rock.
Why would the Mandalorians return here?
This used to be their headquarters during the wars. Could be all sorts of reasons.
That's weird.
Probably employed by someone. All Mandalorians are these days. Whoever hired him had a good reason to send him to this jungle. There may be more of them around. Keep your weapon charged.
Yeah, okay. Mandalorian heavy blaster, huh? Texan cache door. Need heavy explosives to open it. Okay. I'll find those eventually.
Let's take care of this.
Alright. That is that not the icon of the Starforge?
Hold it right there. We've got you surrounded.
That's
Great,
weird.
just what we needed. Mandalorians.
I'm surprised you got this far. The jungle doesn't usually let its prey go that easily. What are you doing here?
Also, I should note, my other drink tonight is an orange juice and espresso. Combination that seems very counterintuitive, but I keep shilling on this channel. Not because I gain anything from it, but because you might gain something from trying it. It's very shockingly, surprisingly, I would even go so far as to say disturbingly good. Anyway, try it. Shot of espresso, glass of orange juice. Thank me later. Very good. What is it with Mandalorians and this damn moon?
We claimed this moon decades ago, when we reforged ourselves after Exar Kun's defeat. Some of us call it home. Why are you trespassing here?
Oh, I was thinking of starting a Zerka office here. I sense a lot of untapped potential. Oh my god, this is how you get shot. I was exploring. Who are you?
I am a Mandalorian warrior, and this area you are exploring is our territory. We have orders to escort you to our camp. Our leader wants to speak to you.
And if I refuse?
You are coming with us. I'm supposed to escort you peacefully, but the alternative is quite acceptable. So your choice is, follow us as our guest, or see how Mandalorians have earned their reputation.
Look, I know how Mandalorians are in their reputation. I fought you on this very place, like literally right here. There's a corpse, like right over there, that I made. Yeah, unfortunately, Mandalorians don't have a good sense of humor. No, Will, they do not. They're not known for their sense of humor. Not really. I mean, they are, but it's very dark and very violent. Very aggressive. Actually, that's a fun little bit from... Gosh, I forget what book it's from. One of the later EU novels. Where we follow... I think it's Fate of the Jedi. Because we follow Jaina Solo... training with a bunch of Mandalorians because she's training to fight Jason, her brother, who's fallen to the dark side. And she is surprised to hear, because she has a Mandalorian helmet on, she's talking to them in combat, and she's surprised to hear them just like shouting at each other and just full volume like screaming inside their helmets over comms, just yelling crude stuff and all sorts of things at each other, because she had always thought Mandalorians fought silently because outside the army you can't hear anything because they only talk over comms. They just turn off their external speakers. So that's a cool little tidbit about Mandalorians that I think that was Karen Travis, that one. Karen Travis, I know, does a lot of great stuff for Mandalorians. She's done a lot of good Mandalorian material. Anyway, that was neat. It was a cool little potentially new tidbit. All right. Fine, take me to the camp then. Meanwhile, I will have tangerine the size of a tangerine. Oops. This is quite the facility you've got here for just a camp. It's more than what I would call a camp. Did he write them for Exar Kun comics? She. And I think so? I think she was involved in that. She's one of the more prolific extended universe authors, who I don't think has actually come back for new canon. I don't think she's actually come back for anything in new canon.
So you're the intruder. Our sensors picked up your handiwork in space. I am Mandalore, leader of the Mandalorians.
Oh yeah, Mandalore the Indomitable, pretty awesome. Riding the Basilisk war droids. God, those are so freaking cool. Amazing. They're absolutely ridiculous. Like the ride-on space-worthy war droids. Such a cool concept. It's so Mandalorian, and I love it so much. That's one of those things that I wish they had brought back in new canon, but there hasn't been really an opportunity to yet, because at this point in galactic history in new canon, Mandalorians are kind of shit, which is sad because they're supposed to be kind of awesome. Yeah. Because, there's like Because in The Mandalorian, there's like 3 of them. God. What is this place?
This used to be the heart of the Mandalorian war effort. From this complex we commanded an armada that had the Republic on the run. It didn't last.
No, it didn't. Why'd you use Duxon?
Mandalorians have a rapport with this jungle. Every moment here is a struggle. All creatures gripped in a constant war for survival. The sole purpose of the weak is to feed the strong. We train here and learn the lessons of the jungle. The beasts also help us keep our edge.
Your camp looks like it's in better days.
Covert camps are not meant to attract attention. Because we conquered them, the people of Onderon still hold a grudge against the Mandalorians. So we keep our presence here a secret.
I'm trying to get to Onderon. Do you know how I can get there?
So it's transportation you want. It so happens I have a small shuttle that's more than capable of running the Onderon military blockade. I make occasional trips to ISIS for information and supplies. If you want to go with me, you're going to have to prove your worth.
Why do you go to ISIS?
It's Mandalorian business, not yours.
Okay. Can't you tell me more than that?
I could, but I don't know you. Once I get to know you, I might tell you more. But not now.
Okay. How can I prove myself?
Figure it out yourself. Ask around. See if you can make yourself useful. Or something that'll show what you're made of.
Will says, yeah, current canon Mandos are pretty meh. I know people have been loving the Disney series, but compare them with the EU, and they look more like recluse bounty hunter enclaves than anything else. Yeah, I agree. I think generally there are weird issues with the Mandalorian, with the series. I'm including those couple episodes of the Book of Boba Fett in there as well. And I think largely it is because the storytelling of the series isn't rooted in making a story about a Mandalorian being a Mandalorian. It was a story about the lone gunslinger. It was a Western. They wanted to make a Western in Star Wars, and they thought, what kind of character should we do? Well, Mandalorians are cool, right? They got like the armor and stuff, and they're like gunslinger types, and they're like, bounty hunters. So let's just make a Mandalorian who does the whole man with no name thing. And then they did it. And then the problem was they had to integrate Mandalorian culture. It means they had to make shit up, which means they had to even further complicate the already complicated Disney canon about Mandalorians. Because, oh man, there have been so many weird complications about Disney canon surrounding Mandalorians. Because there's been weird things added in from the Clone Wars. Then there's been even more weird things added in from Rebels. And now there's even more weird things added in from The Mandalorian. A lot of which are not exactly in conflict with one another, but don't sit well together. So, I don't know. It's very strange. The current new canon, sort of Disney canon Mandalorians they're not nearly as glorious or as culturally interesting as the old EU canon ones. Now they're taking in some elements, foundlings, Dastra Mareel, some things about Beskar, Mandalorian Iron. There's some stuff that they're taking in and some stuff that they're using, which is pretty neat. But they're picking and choosing, and they're picking things and choosing things that don't fit well together. It's not a holistic interpretation. It's not a holistic culture, which is kind of the problem. All right, I'll see what I can do.
I'll let Kex know that you check out. We found more gear than we can use, so you can trade with him if you need some more supplies. Be careful in the jungle. Our patrols have stopped until the space traffic dies down. The challenging beasts have been cleared from the area, but what's left might still be too much for you.
Hey. I find that a bit offensive. I'm a Jedi. We kicked your asses, remember? Alright, let's see what we need to do.
So, you're the Jedi the camp's been talking about. Are you planning on exploring the jungles to the south?
I might. Who are you?
I'm Zarga. I instruct our raw Mandalorian recruits in the ways of discipline and battle. I sent one of my warriors, Kumas, into the jungle. It's been 3 days, and I want you to bring back his corpse and his survival pack.
You sure he's dead?
If Kumas wasn't dead, he'd be back already. If you find his body, just bring it back.
Okay. The dead man, what do you want the body?
Good point. I don't want his body, just his equipment. Field strip the corpse and bring the gear back.
Alright, if I find Kumas' body, I'll bring back his gear.
For Mandalore! Ah!
Alright, stand back. Let's see if that... Sith's blood! Fixing anything in this rot-infested place is an uphill battle.
Anything I can help with?
This jungle attacks anything made by man. Restoring the generators and computer systems is no easy task.
Will says, yeah, it's a bit iffy. At least it's not as bad as High Republic. Well, okay, I read the first High Republic novel, or I listened to the audiobook of the first High Republic novel. I thought there was a lot of potential there. But no, not really. It didn't turn out right. The Light of the Jedi, I think it was the first one. And it's mostly because I like that style. I really like the whole very broad, here's a bunch of little isolated stories that kind of come together into this big tapestry of here's what the galaxy is like. It's kind of what I really liked about something like Halo Reach, where it was a bunch of independent stories told from a really atypical sort of convoluted way. But I like that kind of storytelling. And so maybe that colored me well towards the New Republic project at first, but since then it's just, you're right, it's not been. It's been a mess. It's been a real mess. I don't know. I feel like they're trying too hard to be original when they don't need to be. I think that kind of thing, that line between trying too hard to be original and actually just kind of following along the way things ought to go, is what differentiated the better and the worse episodes of, say, Star Wars Visions. Because I think my favorite episode of Star Wars Visions was The Elder. The one where the master and apprentice just go to this backwater world. And they find this Sith, who's not technically a Sith, but is basically a Sith. This old master of the dark side. And they're basically fighting him. Then we learn a little bit about the Jedi, we learn a little bit about the Sith. This could have happened at basically any time, but it fits so well within the world that it could have been post Luke Skywalker, it could have been Old Republic, it could have been High Republic, it could have been like Golden Age, like pre-Clone Wars era. It could have been anything, any time when there were Jedi working together. It fits so well into the narrative that could perfectly well just be canon. But some of them are just wacky, off the wall, freaking crazy. Like the twins? I think it was called the Twins. Where there's the brother and sister that are like, and there was like the weird, stupid freaking double Star Destroyer, and they're fighting on top of starfighters and stuff in space, and freaking ridiculous, awful. Um, but like, I think that the best ones, what was the other? The Village Bride was really good because again, that one could have perfectly well just been that could have been a thing that happened like during the Empire. It's that simple. And it's exploring something like a way of approaching the Force, all of that. But that was another really good one. The other one that I thought was a little bit atypical, but I thought was actually really good was it the Ninth Jedi? The one that seems like it's like far, far, far in the future. I think that could actually be its own series. The Acolyte, the first one, got way too much praise because it was the first one. It was okay, all right, but it was too far out of line with anything, with any kind of like reasonable bit of canon. Like, there's nowhere it would reasonably fit. Oh yeah, Will says I thought the Great Hyperspace Disaster was also kind of crappy. Oh, from Light of the Jedi. I mean, it's neat. It's probably not reasonable. It doesn't fit with anything that we know of hyperspace from any canon materials aside from. I mean, I guess it was just there to explain something about the Last Jedi and how the hyperspace ram the Holdo maneuver makes any sense. Maybe something like that. I don't know. Um, but yeah, it seemed like a small scale thing to cause such a big deal of a conflict. Um, oh yeah, yeah, like you just said, it reinforces the episode 8 hyperspace nonsense. Yeah, that too. Yeah. Um, yeah. I liked the old version of hyperspace as well. Hyperspace was very, very very carefully defined in the EU in old canon. Um, Primarily just that because in a military sci-fi, which most of the EU is military, you need to know what the capabilities of your military craft are. And that means you need to know how their transportation works. You need to know how hyperspace works. Can you weaponize it? And the answer was an almost unequivocal no. The only cases where hyperspace was ever weaponized were what? I guess you could count micro jumps used by Thrawn in combination with interdictors. I guess you can call that hyperspace weaponized, but even then, that's just tactical repositioning. And then the only other time would be the Galaxy Gun, and that wasn't even weaponizing hyperspace. That was just hyperspace capable warheads that dropped out of hyperspace and then hit something. Even that, yeah, even like I said, even the Galaxy Gun doesn't. I mean, that barely counts. That's a warhead with a hyperdrive that drops out of hyperspace and hits something. And yeah, I mean, honestly, the Dark Empire, the whole Dark Empire thing was um wait, which hypothetical hyperspace bombs? You're gonna have to remind me. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So the whole the Galaxy Gun was in Dark Empire. It was Palpatine Reborn, and it was on orbiting around Biss in the deep core. It launched a hyperspace capable warhead. It shot it. It jumped into hyperspace. It drops out of hyperspace, and then it hits a planet. Sets up a chain reaction that destroys the surface of the planet. It like burns away everything in the surface. It basically glasses the planet with one big warhead. Which two problems with that? One, it's not actually weaponizing hyperspace. It's just using a warhead with a hyperdrive on it, which anybody can do that. And then two, my God, that is a powerful warhead. It's not like a laser weapon like the Death Star. It is a single warhead that basically destroys the surface of the planet, which is, I mean, as overpowered as anything in Dark Empire. Oh, hyperdrives and thermal detonators. I mean, I'm trying to remember exactly what the logistics and the specifics of this were. But like some of the most clever military innovations were relatively simple ones, like shadow bombs from the Yuuzhan Vong War and forward, where a stealth X-wing flown by a Jedi would launch baradium warheads, so basically massive thermal detonators, and it would just launch them with like compressed air. It would just punk, shoot them off in a random direction, and then the Jedi would guide them to their target with the Force, and then hit the detonation switch, and they'd blow up. And they basically couldn't get picked up with sensors because it's a little thing like this big. You're not going to pick this up with a sensor. It's like just kind of floating over there. Then, because there's no heat signature to it, and so the sensors aren't going to pick the damn thing up. So you don't know where to target it. You don't know how to evade it. You don't know where to move your shields, etc. It just boom, you're done. And then, of course, because also you don't have to put propulsion systems into the thing, it can just be a massive frickin' warhead from a standard proton torpedo launcher. Love it. I love it. That was a really clever, really innovative weapon system that relied upon fully established parts of the universe. I think that was really clever. But... Excuse me. Well, it says, I actually own an original copy of Dark Empire in Portuguese. I found it with my dad when we were checking a Sabo. Basically the Brazilian equivalent of Antique Shop, but for books in Brazil. Very cool. Very cool. That's neat. I think, like I said, I think Dark Empire was some of the worst elements of the expanded universe. And yet still, The Rise of Skywalker was still just an inferior copy of Dark Empire. Somehow managed to be an inferior copy, even though... I mean, honestly, the whole sequel trilogy was just an inferior copy of Dark Empire. Even though Dark Empire was probably, like I said, one of the worst elements of the expanded universe, it was still... They still downgraded it when they used so many elements of it in the sequels. Alright, I have some practice restoring computer systems, if you need a hand.
I'll take whatever help I can get. Whatever wires and tech haven't been corroded by the jungle are at least 10 years old. I'm trying to get the relay dish operational, but several components are broken and need repair. Without the relay, we're vulnerable to attack, especially right now.
Somehow, Palpatine returned.
Attracted unwanted attention, and our shuttle sensors can't cover the whole...
Yeah, that was... Cloning. Dark science. Secrets only the Sith knew. Oh, the Sith and the Kaminoans and the Republic and the Sparty and frickin' everyone. Oh god. I just hate that everyone in the sequel era seems to have completely forgotten about everything that has ever happened in Star Wars. Cloning. Secrets only the Sith knew. Idiot, you were alive during the Clone Wars. Good lord. Alright, let's get to work fixing it.
Seems just about everything involved with a relay dish is broken. I've been trying to fix it for weeks and still no success. If you think you can help, there's the broken cables right over there, and the relay maintenance structure's behind me. You can find the telemetry computer in there. The only thing I know for sure is we need a new phase pulse converter for the tracking computer.
Where can I find one of those?
We actually already found one in an old weapons cache, but flaming Canox ate it.
Ate it?
That's a problem with Canox. They'll leave you alone if you keep your distance. But if you turn your back on the pests, they'll eat anything they can get in their mouth.
In the world. Will says, I think they tried to imply Sith alchemy was with that line. Because it's mentioned in the Clone Wars, but the dialogue is so bad they can't even explain it properly. Yeah. Yeah. I guess it was the dark science part. They meant to mean... I guess they meant to say that it was like dark science, like Sith alchemy combined with cloning? Maybe? I don't know. Which is what they seem to be implying with Mandalorian Season 2. With the facility on... God, what's it called? Reef Carcass Planet. That whole thing. Anyway, yeah. Now, it's... I guess it's... I kind of have to say it's probably a J.J. Abrams thing. Because everyone in The Force Awakens seems to have forgotten that the Galactic Civil War happened. And, like, Luke Skywalker is a myth. And everything like that. And then in The Last Jedi, everyone forgot, like, you know, everything that's ever happened. Yeah, that drives me nuts. Who? Oh God, who was it? It was from a YouTuber who criticized the Last Jedi. No. Who criticized The Force Awakens? It's as if, like, oh no, this was about somebody criticizing The Mandalorian, because it's a problem in The Mandalorian too. How Din Djarin has no idea who or what the Jedi are. That's like someone like today not knowing who. His analogy doesn't quite work. Whoever this was, I forget who it was. I wonder if I could find it. It was like somebody not knowing who Elvis Presley was. But even worse, because it's like not knowing who Elvis Presley was if there were 10,000 Elvis Presleys who saved Earth from an alien invasion, or something like that. That's what it would be like. Because someone who was alive during the Clone Wars, not knowing anything about the Jedi, is ridiculous. And they did the same thing in The Force Awakens, and they did the same thing in The Last Jedi, and then they did the same thing, only worse, in The Rise of Skywalker. Everywhere they've been doing this, and it's because they've been trying to kill the past. They want to do their own thing. Anyway, bugs me to no end. It's a writing flaw, generally. Yeah, anyway. Why don't you hunt them down, these component-eating canics?
They're vermin, and no challenge for a Mandalorian. Since they provide no sport, we ignore them.
So how do you propose I find it?
Just gut every Canuck you come across. You wouldn't believe the things you can find in those little beasts.
Will says, not to mention when it comes from a group of people who fought the Jedi as established in the Clone Wars. Yeah, and in Rebels. Yeah, no, that was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like your weird little cult in particular, the Death Watch, fought the Jedi. Yeah, fine, Children of the Watch, whatever. They're an offshoot of Death Watch. Your weird cult fought the Jedi. How you don't know this is a freaking mystery. Your parents were murdered in a war fought primarily by Jedi against the droids that killed your parents, you idiot. God, I don't know, man. There must be another way I can find a phase pulse converter.
We checked the cache manifests, and that's the only one that was in storage. It's probably the only working converter on this moon.
How do you propose I find
Just gut every Canuck.
Yeah. It better be worth it. I'll start looking.
Alright then. Come back when you have the converter and we can...
Okay.
Damn it. Jungle is taking over everything. This place is a mess.
So I'm pretty much gonna just pick up all the quests tonight.
The word and I'll take you there.
Not right now. Yeah, I'm pretty much just gonna pick up all the quests here tonight, and I'll call it for next time.
What do you want?
Who are you?
I'm Kex, the new quartermaster. If a Mandalorian needs something, they come to me. Mandalore's ordered me to let you have access to our supplies, including some military-grade surplus. It's not free, though. You can pay with credits or trade in some of your gear. Doesn't matter to me.
Alright, let's see. Weapon. Swords. Blasters. Armor. Mandalorian heavy suit. It's light armor. Wow, that's weird. Suit. Heavy armor. Battle armor. Anything in here I really need? Miscellaneous. Bunch of grenades. That might be nice. Nah, nothing really. Alright, nothing I desperately need there. do we have here? Yeah, he almost certainly would have heard tales from his fellow Mandalorians. Absolutely. What's that? Regal Visor, that's good. What is this? Force Mask. Force Resist, plus 16. Oh. Hmm. All right. Who has best computers? 21, 24, 0. Mira. Wow, you're slow. Alright. Reprogram the core. Fixed it. Okay, let's see what else over here. Here's the fighting ring. Which, maybe I'll do that before we wrap up. We'll see. We'll see if I get time. Maybe. Here's this tiny little shuttle. Look at this thing. How many people are supposed to fit in this? A micro pulse blaster. It's 2. Massive damage. Durable Thoranium. This blaster is able to fire more intense pulses of energy than lesser pistols are capable of. The result is a potency of an advanced blaster rifle, a one-handed weapon. Maybe Mira can make use of that. 4 through 18? 4 to 18. How much is this one? 2 to 11. Yeah. Watchman Blaster. No. Arcanian, the offhand.
Something you need of me?
Alright. Riven grenades, nice. Yeah, this ship looks way too small to reasonably fit, like, any number of people. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's try out that combat arena, huh? Hang on a second. Let's save here in case we goof up.
So you are the visiting Jedi. You aren't much to look at. Are you here to observe, or do you seek to prove yourself in the battle circle?
Are there rules?
A few. No fights to the death. Other parts of our training weed out the weak among us, but that isn't the function of the battle circle. There are individual rules for each fight. The warrior with greater honor determines those, which in your case means any Mandalorian makes the rules.
Alright. Thanks. Alright, hey Braylor.
So the Jedi Order isn't completely dead. You always had hidden strengths. Very hard for even the wisest Mandalore to judge and predict. I have studied much of the Jedi since our defeat. I would be honored to cross blades with you in the battle circle.
You don't seem as aggressive as the other Mandalorians.
This is not a battlefield, Jedi. If it were, I trust you wouldn't have the same opinion.
I prepare and train, readying my mind and weaponry for a real challenge. Peace is not our natural element. Mandalorians handle it differently. I focus on educating myself in the martial techniques I will need to succeed in the next war.
Can I choose who I fight?
No, it is up to the sergeant. The battle circle was not designed to settle petty vendettas and rivalries. Its primary purpose has always been teaching. Learning from books or holovids is useless when battle rages and soldiers are dying around you. Real knowledge can only be gained through combat. Perhaps we can learn from one another in time.
Alright, cool.
This is our battle circle. You should leave us. This place is for Mandalorians alone. Even if the sergeant lets you fight with us, you will never truly be one of us.
I mean, I didn't plan to, so that's fine.
So, the Jedi comes to grace us. The battle circle is reserved only for real warriors. Your Jedi ways won't help you here.
What is the battle circle?
The battle circle is only a small part of our training regiment. A full Mandalorian warrior is a master of many fighting techniques, and here, all of them are tested. If you were to compete, you would have to do so on our terms, for that is the way of the battle circle.
Oh, Those with Neo
great
Crusader.
honor decide the terms of engagement. Jedi rely too much on their vaunted powers.
Is that the same actor? It sounds like him.
Without your force, would you be a match for even the lowliest of Mandalorian warriors? If you want to try and fight us on our terms, that can be arranged.
Alright, let's fight.
You are new here, so you will fight Davro. He is young and has not been able to prove himself in battle. Davro, what are your terms?
No weapons, no Jedi tricks, and no items. Just fist and foot. A true test of strength.
Put your weapon away, Jedi. Don't step out of the circle and pull any death blow. No one dies in the battle circle. Step into the battle circle. Now you will experience a true fight.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm actually doing quite fine here. Oh, the guy in yellow is the same as the, as Balgruuf? Yeah, I sounded like him. Alright, nice. Gotcha.
The match between Jedi and Davril is over. The Jedi is the clear and honorable victor. Davril is just a recruit. I'm not surprised you won this fight. A challenger has expressed interest in fighting you. As little honor as you have gained, it is sufficient to accept his request. Let me know if you would fight again.
Let me get out of your way here. And yes, let me fight again.
Here to watch a fight or...
I want to fight.
After defeating Davril, you have gained some small honor. There is a challenger for you. He is Kex, the quartermaster. Since he is the challenger, you get to choose the terms.
No, let's go all the way. Anybody can use anything.
We'll send a runner to Kex. Prepare yourself for your fight, Jedi.
Fight saber. That hardly seems honorable, honestly, but it's fine.
The match between Kex and Jedi is over. The Jedi is the clear and honorable victor. If you want to fight again, let me know.
Well, that was almost painfully easy, but okay.
Here to watch a fight or to participate?
Yeah, let's fight.
You choose to fight again. Now face a real Mandalorian warrior. Tagrin, what are your terms? Just fist and foot like you fight with Davril. Nothing else.
I mean, it's basically cheating. I mean, he could have used grenades or stuff, whatever.
No weapons allowed, and absolutely no use of your force.
I mean, he could have used, like, grenades and whatnot. Ooh. This is a challenge. Oh, there we go. he's actually winning. Let's go to Critical Strike. I think he beat me. Yeah, he beat me. Darn.
The match between Jedi and Tagrin is over. Tagrin is the clear and honorable victor. Against any full Mandalorian, it appears you cannot win. Come back if you want a rematch. I'm sure that Tagrin could use the exercise.
Okay, maybe I will do that after I, you know, heal up a little bit. Give this one more shot, huh?
Here to watch him. You choose to just...
Alright, let's do this again, shall we? I'll try Critical Strike and see how that goes off. Damn it. Ow. I've got like one hit on him. Okay, fine, 2. Jesus. Okay.
The match between Jedi and Tagrin is over.
Alright, I think I can... I wonder if there's a way I can kind of cheese this at all. And by cheese this, I mean... Okay, Archijeth Rope. This one. Way higher defense bonus, which is good. Not way higher, 1 higher. Better saves. Regeneration. Okay. Chani shield suit. Yeah, I'm gonna switch to a Mandalorian. Bit of Mandalorian armor. That's a good look. All right.
Watch a fight or Mandalore. You just Tagrin choose.
Let's try this again, shall we? Okay, much better defense rating. Ow, still. Good damage resistance, but maybe not good enough. We'll see. Resistance slashing, no. Infiltrator gloves, no. Jill Shay. Doesn't help me much. Experiment package. No. Dex +1 defense bonus. No. Nah, nothing I can really do to help that. Alright. Oh. Yeah, no, I don't think I can handle this one.
match between Jedi and Tagrin is over. Tagrin is the clear and honorable victor. Against any full Mandalorian, it appears you cannot win. Come back if you want a rematch. I'm sure that Tagrin could use the exercise.
Okay, yeah, so it would appear. All right. Anyway, we're out of time for tonight. So, we're going to call it right here. So, and we will pick back up here next week. I might give this one more try before we head out back into the jungle, but otherwise we'll head out back into the jungle. We'll see what there is to see. Let's do what there is to do. And maybe gain a level or so. Maybe that'll help us. But I do want to come back, and I do want to fight this guy. Who knows? See if we can beat him. Anyway, if not, we'll see. Otherwise, I hope to see you guys again on Thursday for Kingdom Come Deliverance, and once again next Monday for more Knights of the Old Republic 2. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. If you like what I'm doing, want to support what I'm doing, and help me continue doing so, I will always welcome any donations that you want to throw my way down there, right down there, the link at ko-fi.com/Professor McCoy. I appreciate anything you can send me. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time. And remember, don't be safe, be well. And more importantly, be good.